This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you for waiting around, and I apologize for the delay. Had some issues with YouTube, but it looks like we're on and popping now. So, what's popping with you? Let's get this thing on the go. Let me say that again, because Big Bubba's over here making noise and messing me up. What's popping, ladies and gentlemen? We're here to break down the front office and the coaching staff and give them some grades for this season. So we're going to go ahead and get going right now. You know what I mean? We got a good conversation to break this thing down, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to remind you, though, before we get on and popping, to sign up and get your name on the list to join us at the NBK Draft Party on June 23rd. There's a link stuck to the top of your YouTube chat. And there's also a link in the description of this video, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and get with it. I got Steph in the building. We got Big Bubba in the building. We got Gavin in the building. We're going to go ahead and break this one down. Steph, how you doing today?
And I'm only here until 5, but I'm excited about talking about the front office and talking about Tibbs.
Yeah, no doubt. And Big Bubba?
Man, I'm good, Sam. You know, we had a little technical difficulties, but that was just the devil not trying to let us be great. But we gonna rise above that.
Yeah,
but no,
here.
Man,
we here now.
We here, man. Yes, sir. But no, it feels good, man. We in the building, Gav, Steph, Sim. Let's get it popping, man. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? Gavin, what's going on?
I'm good. Just came off a golf course. Happy to always be on, as always. Enjoying this nice weather down here and ready to talk some Knicks and talk about the season.
Oh, you a brother with money. Okay. All right.
All right. Well, look, this is what we're going to do.
Working towards it.
We're going to start off talking about the front office. All right. And we're going to give them a grade. All right. We're going to look at everything that the front office did this season. If I missed anything, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know what I missed, and we'll talk about it as well. All right. So we're going to go down each thing, talk about it in depth, and then we'll give the front office a grade. So let's start off with the 2021 NBA Draft. All right, because that was an eventful night. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we were in Atlantic City when it was happening. We didn't understand what the front office was doing. You know, it felt like they was bugging out. But it turns out they kind of had an idea of what they were doing. So let's take a look at the front office transactions for 2021 and 2022. For the NBA draft, that is. They made a lot of moves, right? They came into the draft with the 19th and the 21st picks, right? And they ended up trading down. So they traded down and they drafted Quentin Grimes with the 25th pick. They drafted Rokas Jokubaitis with the 34th pick, Miles McBride with the 36th pick, and Jericho Sims with the 58th pick. The 34th pick, the 36th pick, and the 58th pick were all in the second round. They also acquired a first-round pick from the Charlotte Hornets. Okay? That was what the Knicks did during the draft. So they brought 4 players in. 1, 2, 3 of them actually played, and Jokubaitis is overseas, ladies and gentlemen. That's what the Knicks did during the draft. All right. And now I'm going to get to free agency, but I want to jump to the trade deadline because the draft relates directly to the trade deadline, because at the trade deadline, the Knicks got Cam Reddish. They acquired Cam Reddish, Solomon Hill, and a second-round pick for Kevin Knox and a first-round pick that they got from Charlotte. So remember, they traded the 19th pick for the 25th pick, or whatever it was. I don't exactly remember how they did it. But when they traded the 19th pick, they acquired the Charlotte pick that went to Atlanta to get Cam Reddish. Let's put it like that. We'll make it easy. I don't remember all of the exact transactions. Okay? So let's talk about those two things right there. And then we're going to get to the free agent signings during the offseason, all right? So I know we skipped over the free agent signings, but we're going to get back to it because that one, there's some lengthy conversations to be had there. So let's talk about the draft and the trade deadline because they relate, and then we'll get to the rest. So, Steph, the draft, right? We just talked about it. Quentin Grimes with the 25th pick, Jokic with the 34th pick, Miles McBride with the 36th pick, and Jericho Sims with the 58th pick. What was your thoughts on the draft? And obviously at the time, we didn't know that Charlotte pick was going to end up being Cam Reddish.
Right.
Right? But it turned into Cam Reddish, although you had to give up Kevin Knox. All right? What did you think about the draft?
Oh, I would say B+. If we're including Cam, I would say A. If you were able to, turn that asset into Cam Reddish, I would say A. I think to be able to fall back in the draft, trade back in the draft, and still get Quentin Grimes and a first-round pick, I think that was a heady move for the front office. Grimes is a high floor guy. I don't know what his ceiling is, but he's definitely a high floor guy. And give me a high floor guy anytime. So I really love that pick. McBride too also has a lot of promise, and they were able to get him in the second round. I think coming into the draft, there was on some draft boards, mock drafts, they had him late first. So I think that was a good pick for them. And Rokabitis, I don't know if I'm saying that correct, is playing well, overseas. So as far as the drafting is concerned, I like what the Knicks did, and I'm very confident in them from that perspective. That's why I don't really care where we fall draft-wise. I think they're going to do a good job getting a good pick.
Okay. All right. Big Bubba, what's your thoughts, man, on the draft and the pick that turned into Cam Reddish? I think that gets overlooked.
Yeah. So I'm giving them an A-. Personally, because of this, to me, and people have to really put things in context is that you've gotten production from the 25th pick. Wait, what was Quentin Grimes, 25th? 25th? He was
Quentin Grimes, 25th pick. 25th pick.
You got production from the 25th pick. Like Steph said, the kid from overseas is doing good. Please, guys, don't hype him up. We'll see him in the summer league. You got production from McBride, and you got production from the 58th pick.
I forgot about Sims. Yeah, exactly.
Sims is most likely going to be a backup to Friends starter on a team. So again, right, and you got Cam Reddish out of the 19th pick. So you have to go. To me, you go A-, because of just what you got. And these guys, again, Quentin Grimes is looking like a 3D guy. And he's going to be in the lineup of rotation line. He's a rotational piece already for the Knicks. McBride is a good pack-up point guard. Sims, again, he started multiple times. You've seen great things from him. Has a little bit of an offensive game. He's a runner. He listen, you can't complain. And that's why I'm not. I know people wanted us to tank, and I did want us to tank to a certain extent, but. Just because I kind of wanted Jaden Ivey. But again, I'm really confident. That's one thing I'm confident with this front office and the scouts around this team is that they know how to pick them. So far, from what we've seen so far, it's not always going to be a hit. But from what I'm seeing, they've gotten production, so I'm confident.
Yeah. Okay. Gavin.
I'm going along the same lines. I give them an A to an A-. I think they definitely did a good job drafting, and to get the talent along with the production and the ceilings that these guys have looking forward with some more minutes under their belt. I think they did a good job. Like Bubba said, the dude, Jokic, I mean, we'll see what he does in Summer League. And if I'm not mistaken, he said he didn't want to come over and play, right? Because he didn't want to come and just basically sit the bench.
Yeah, I think that's the case with him right now.
So, I mean, we'll see if, he even comes over to play with us. But, with Quentin Grimes and basically somebody who you can insert into the starting lineup and you know what you're going to get, Deuce, who, seems that he can have a lot of development. And then I think one of the biggest surprises is seeing what we got from Sims this year and knowing what we will have from him going forward. Like I said, with an offseason, seems that he and Taj work out a lot together. So hopefully that translates into him having a little, 10 to 12 footer, being able to do some jump hooks and add to that offensive game. And then I really like the trade deadline with Cam Reddish. I think you get an upgrade from Kevin Knox. And to only give up Knox in the first round from Charlotte, I think, given who was also available at the trade deadline, I think he really fits this role, especially if they're going with this youth movement. I think that he is a real comparable piece to the rest of the team.
Yeah, when with everything that the Knicks did during the draft, people were confused during the time. It obviously ended up being very good moves, right? Even the way that they got Miles McBride. The Knicks traded down several times, and they got Miles McBride at the 36th pick, but they obviously wanted Jokic, and they felt like Jokic might go a little bit earlier, right? So they snatched up Jokic knowing that Miles McBride was going to be there at the 36th pick. And, it was real savvy maneuvering there. And I think you can probably attribute it to Walt Perrin, right? Because he seems to have just a good eye for the draft and understand what he's doing when it comes to the draft and how to move and accumulate assets while still bringing in players that can help your team now. You know what I mean? And the Knicks got 3 players that can help the team right now. So I think the Knicks did really, really well at the draft, which, like Steph said, makes me confident that no matter where they pick, they're going to be able to bring in some talent. You know what I mean? I want to come back to Gavin, and, because now we'll switch to the trade deadline and go with a little bit more in depth there. They got Cam Reddish. They turned that pick that they received from the Charlotte Hornets, and who knows what it's going to end up being. It doesn't really matter anymore because the Knicks don't have it, but they turned it into Cam Reddish, right? They turned it into a player that most believe is going to be a rotation player when Kevin Knox wasn't a rotation player. So that was the big move at the trade deadline. Right. A lot of people felt like they should have done more. Gavin, do you feel like they should have done more at the trade deadline?
I think initially I wanted them to do more, but I think that they played it safe and still got a great result out of it. Knox was not going to play. I think Cam, you have somebody who has a little bit more offensive game and skill than Knox does, and I think that he has a better chance of playing for Tibbs than Knox did. So I think it was a safe move. This year it didn't really result in anything, but I think that giving him an off season and giving him some more time just to get comfortable and work on the shot and his offensive game and his consistency, I think that in the long run it'll end up being a great move that I don't think that most people anticipated.
Yeah. Isaiah, your thoughts on Cam Reddish and the trade deadline?
Yeah, so the trade deadline for me was probably a C plus, because I thought a big thing with the trade deadline that I would have liked to see was, at least the moving of Alec Burks or the movement of Kimber. I thought that was just had to happen, especially when you made a trade trade for Cam Reddish, and you pretty much replaced him with a player that wasn't playing for, and to me, it was just a little bit of, I don't want to say miscommunication between the front office and Tibbs, but I thought there was just a little miscommunication just because of, again, you traded Kevin Knox, who was not playing, for a player that wasn't in the rotation for Tom Thibodeau. We know how he is with his rotations. So, then you cause a little bit of uproar of, him not playing. You got the fans anxious, and then again, we don't know if the report was true or not, that Tom Thibodeau wasn't big on the Cam Reddish trade. We don't know. Again, that was Mark Berman, so take that with a grain of salt. But, all these things factored, and I just thought, again, the Knicks should have just got rid of some of the veterans if there was possibilities to get rid of them. And so that you do have room for guys like Cam Reddish to get playing time and everything like that. So I would probably give them the trade deadline. I'll give them a C.
Okay. Steph?
Probably the same grade, but for different reasons. I think that the Knicks should have been aggressive. Now, it's hard to know what was out there to try to get more support for the team to try to make the playoffs. I think you saw up to that point that this team wasn't gelling. Kemba Walker was an issue. If there was an opportunity to get a point guard, go out and get him. If there was an opportunity to upgrade the team, go out and get him. Remember, at that time, we wasn't going for a youth movement. At that time, we were still trying to, make the playoffs, and you could tell what we had just wasn't good enough. Now, they may have tried to do that and just didn't have any takers.
Right. See, I'm in a little bit of a disagreement about the trade deadline, right? I actually feel like maybe they showed good reserve, right? And the reason why I say that is instead of making a move, just to get somebody in here, I felt like maybe it was like, you know what? We don't see a move that we really like. So we're not going to move at all. We're just going to rock with what we have, and then we'll look down the line at the draft and in the summer. Because remember, all of these guys are going to be on expiring contracts next year, except for Evan Fournier, Julius Randle. But these guys are going to be on expiring contracts, so that gives you a lot of flexibility during the offseason to make a move. And if you would have just traded Alec Burks or waived Alec Burks or Nerlens Noel or Taj Gibson, now you don't have the ability to trade them in the offseason, right? So the Knicks have the ability to trade them during the trade deadline. They have the ability to trade them, when free agency hits in July, because their contracts extend past this summer. So they have the ability to move them, which in some ways is almost like having free agent money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think I think I give them a B at least for the trade deadline. And I know I wanted them to try to do something and make a move. I did, but when I thought about it later on, I was like, well, maybe it was best that they didn't make a move if there wasn't anything out there that they thought was really going to help the team now and in the future. I didn't want them to make a move just for now, because I want them to be able to cash those chips in at some time, for a player. And then if not, you look at guys like Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel and Derrick Rose, maybe in 2023, you're just like, we're not going to re-up your contract or we're not going to, take the team option, so that we can have the money to be able to sign other players. So I thought that maybe they showed good reserve because there wasn't anything out there that they really did like and that they thought was going to help the team now, but also help them later on in the future. So I'm kind of towards a B with the trade deadline.
Well, if you put it like that, if it's like that, and that's how and most likely it probably was like that, I'll change my C from a C plus. I'll do it like that because again, like you did say, they did overstraight because, like you said, they have expiring contracts now, and you can trade a guy like Noel, you can trade a guy like Alec Burks, who most likely is going to be gone either during summertime or during the trade deadline. So we do have a lot of possibilities now. So also, it could be for a bigger trade. We might talk about later on down in the summer. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that they can do. I think they are very flexible, with the contracts that they have for the most part. All right, which leads us to the offseason / free agency, right? They did a lot of things during this time, and some things are questionable. I know there's going to be people that are, really don't like what they've done during the offseason. So let's blow this up and break it down a little bit. Mm-hmm. They extended Julius Randle 4 years, $117 million. There's a player option in year 4. They signed Kemba Walker, 2 years, $18 million. They signed Evan Fournier, 4 years, $78 million, a team option in year 4. They signed Alec Burks, 3 years, $30 million with a team option in year 3. They signed Nerlens Noel, 3 years, $28 million with a team option in year 3. They signed Derrick Rose, 3 years, $43 million with a team option in year 3. And then they signed Taj Gibson, 2 years, $10 million. So Kemba Walker and Taj Gibson, neither one of those guys, there's not a team option for those guys. Right? So the Knicks either have to waive them or trade them. Right? But Kemba Walker's contract expires. Well, it expires. So it's still an expiring contract. Both of their contracts will be expiring next year. So you got Kemba Walker's contract is expiring. Now Evan Fournier's, Alec Burks' contract is expiring, but there's a team option for the next year. Nerlens Noel, his contract expires next season, but there's a team option for the 3rd year. Same with Derrick Rose. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players whose contracts expire next season and can be used as trade chips. But clearly, they all want the right moves. Right? They clearly want the right moves. Steph, how did you feel about the Knicks offseason? Now that you're looking at it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give him a D. I'm gonna give him a D. One, because they didn't work out. But I had questions even coming into the season. I felt like we needed more of an upgrade than Fournier and Kemba. And I know they were in that spot between we need to make some changes, but this team did get to the 4th spot, so we should, give them a chance to repeat, kind of keep the team together. So I kind of understand where they were heading from, and that's always a tough decision. Do you bring it back? Atlanta brought it back. They in the play-in, right? We made changes. We out. So there's no guarantees, but I didn't like Noel coming back. I didn't like Burks coming back. I was okay with them even moving on from Rose. If you remember, I was like, we need that backup point guard that we can count on. I liked McConnell, who got injured. was out for most of the season. I didn't like the fact that we signed Kemba and Rose. And I remember us talking in the preseason, if both of those guys get injured, who's our 3rd point guard? We talking about McBride and IQ. And that's exactly what happened. I was okay with the extension of Randall. I didn't think he would be what he was last year, but I didn't think he would be this bad either. And I didn't think emotionally he would be this volatile. I'm gonna say D. I'm gonna say D. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It ended up being tough. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It ended up being tough. Big Bubba, your thoughts, man.
I mean, Steph, that's why you're the queen. You basically said everything I want to say. But I will say, I'm giving them a D-.
D-. I'm going even lower. So
yeah, I'm giving them a D- because I'm going off my initial feelings at how I felt during the summer. I wholeheartedly did not want to know. I thought Noel's, they should have let him walk. I thought he was going to get paid somewhere else, at which he deserved to go get the money. He played a great season. To me, he was, in my opinion, he should have been one of the candidates for Defensive Player of the Year, just the way he played and held down that position. I really wanted Alec Burks going because, to me, no disrespect, he's a journeyman. This is what he does. He plays good for a year, and he works to get his next contract. I was big harping on that because I was just good with it. He was Alec Burks. There was games he'll give you 20 points, game you give him 10 points. He's a journeyman. That's what he does. Kemba, I was not mad about the Randall contract because he got paid $117 million. He had a great season. He was all NBA. And like Steph said, nobody, I don't even think Julius Randle thought he would have the season that he did. So I'm not mad about that. Derrick Rose, I wasn't really mad about that. I thought that was fair contract for what he provided. I mean, it was like $10 million, and for a backup,
it's not $10 million. It's not $10 million.
I'm sorry, it was like 14. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
14
It's
million
like
for what
13,
Derrick Rose
14, and then 15 in that last year if they would have signed him, something like that.
I mean, for what Derrick Rose was providing, that's a steal.
Okay.
But he didn't play. Kimba, I wasn't mad about the Kimba thing because it was only $9 million. You got Kimba Walker. The Fournier thing, that was atrocious. I'm sorry. I learned to love Evan Fournier more because now that I think about it, I mean, shooting the way he shot, which was streaky, but that's what shooters are going for. You know, Duncan Robinson's getting $20 million, and golly, he's had a worse season than Evan Fournier.
So why do you say it was?
Because there were moves that I just wouldn't have made. I would not have signed Burks. I wouldn't have signed Noels. I just wouldn't have signed those guys. And then
No. But Evan Fournier, you said it was atrocious.
So it's bad because of the years. I don't care about that. It's to me, it's never about the money. It's more about the years.
It's 3 years. I mean, you got a team option for the 4th year, but it's 3 years.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just but you know what it is for me. Sometimes with at least with Evan Fournier that we can't even play him in the 4th. There be games where we just can't play him. That's tough. Sometimes we be paying a guy almost $20 million to he can't play in the 4th. So yeah, again, it's just
nighttime. The other night, Tom Thibodeau said his man-to-man defense is getting better.
Yeah, getting better.
he said he loves the team defense. He says man-to-man defense is getting better. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, there were just moves even during the summer that I did not like. That I was like, this is just not going to be good. So this season just confirmed it. So that's why I'm going D- for them with the offseason.
Okay. All right, Gavin.
So looking back and grading it how everything played out, I give them an F.
Okay.
Golly.
So I think
I mean, you gotta look back.
I'm looking real good right now.
I know, right?
Hey, Cap gonna give him a 0.
So I'll start from the bottom. I will say I was cool with the Taj signing because I think that's just somebody that you have to keep in the locker room, somebody who has a vet presence, who's been in the league, somebody who can take the young guys under their wings, and now we can see him helping and developing Sims. Derrick Rose, I wouldn't have given him 3-year 43 for just there's an injury history there, and that's always a liability. And so, we did that in this year. He barely played this year. The thing with the Noel signing to me is that kind of set the standards for the type of money that Mitch will be looking for going into this offseason. You had Noel, who doesn't really give you a lot of offensive production, will give you some defensive production. And he barely played, and he's getting 3 years, 28. To me, that kind of hurts where Mitch is looking for money because he doesn't really, besides playing with a point guard who looks for him on the lob, doesn't give you really any offensive production unless it's a putback. And he has a big injury history, and that's probably one of my biggest things with Mitch is I'm scared to give him money, and then he ends up not playing. Burks, we gave him 3 years, 30 minutes, who's a journeyman who was a starter for most of the season. And I think with Fournier gave us his career average this year, but I think that the fact that you can't play him in the 4th and somebody who's a scorer, I think that takes away a lot. I think that hurt us in a lot of games, the fact that we can't count on his offensive production in the 4th, because you may go score 15 in the 4th, but you also may give up 25 on the defensive side.
Yeah.
So they cancel out each other. Kimba.
Hey, Gavin, let me ask you this about Fournier. Do you think, and anyone can answer, do you think the fact that he didn't play in the 4th, do you think some of it has to do with the team also wasn't playing good defense? Because what if 4 players were playing very good defense, do you think Tom Thibodeau would have been like, well, we can have him out there because I know the other 4 players are making up for it. So we can have him out there so we can have his offense. And I'm not saying, obviously he needs to be a good defender so he can be out there on the floor. But do you think that has anything to do with it too? Because when you look last year, you would have a lineup in the 4th quarter of Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, right? Alec Burks sometimes, Derrick Rose, depending on who was playing well. And Reggie Bullock, he couldn't knock down big shots. Very, very few times did he knock down big shots. So there were times when he couldn't be on the floor either because he couldn't shoot. So you had Derrick Rose out there, sometimes Alec Burks out there, and you gave up that sniper type of a guy because you wanted to have defense. Which I think does hurt because you need that guy that can just like get it on his fingertips and let it go, and Evan Fournier can do that. If the Knicks team overall was better defensively, do you think he would have taken a chance in having Evan Fournier in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, more?
I think if the team was playing better defensively, yes, but that wasn't the case, so he didn't even look his way.
Right.
And like I said, I think there was just a lot of games where, and Evan's somebody who can get hot very quick. And like I said, the fact that you automatically take that out of your lineup reduces the potential to even come back or hold leads in the fourth quarter. And then just the thing for Randall was he had a great year last year, and I think that their thing was if he has a great season, if he was going to have a great season this year, they were probably looking at we're going to have to pay him a lot more money, But just seeing that 4 years, 117, and the way that things turned out to me is not high for me. And then it's just the fact of not even his stats, because I think a lot of teams will still take him based on his level of play. But I know there's a lot of GMs that look at the league and look at somebody, how they handle things at their previous teams. The antics, the emotions, the body language, and things like that. And I think for a lot of GMs, that plays into a big part of, are we willing to take a bet on this guy? And so for me, I just think that, and then adding Kemba and Fournier to a coach who is defensive heavy, and you take away, and you have two guys who are defensive liabilities, was one of the biggest effects for me. And like you said, you see how that plays into Tibbs' game plan. He's like, I like defense, but I can't play Evan in the fourth. And then we've got Kemba out there who, all you got to do in a man-to-man defense is switch on him, and it's an automatic mismatch.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say this too, Sim, just to add on a little bit what he was saying was that, one thing though, I will get it from honest. You paying Randall was the right move because, it gives you reputation, and it just honestly, it makes the front office look better with how he acted in a sense of a way because, we paid our guy, we gave him the money, and he acted this way. Also too, that's was a big thing with the front office was not bringing back Reggie Bullock. Everybody knows how I feel about, the other dude, Alpha Payne. But I thought not bringing back Reggie, I really did think not bringing back Reggie Bullock and keeping Alec Burks was just a big mistake. Like if they would have reversed that, because Reggie Bullock got paid the same thing that Alec Burks got paid. I'm like, yo, you could have gave that money to Evan Fournier.
I know. We get what you're saying. You could have gave that money to Reggie Bullock, but we don't know what was going on either. And
but from what Reggie Bullock said, he wanted to be back.
Right.
He expected to be back.
Right. But I also think there was something like he wanted it to be done like very, very.
I think he wanted a third year. I think I've seen
I think it was the
timing because he wanted it to be done sooner than the Knicks were ready to do it. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks were trying to see if they were going to be able to bring in whoever, right? So they wanted to keep their money free until a certain time. And I think Reggie Bullock, he wanted to, he wanted to sign this contract now and get it over with. You know what I mean? So I think that was part of the issue. I think timing really had a lot to do with it. Kev, looking at the front office, looking at the offseason and free agency, all right? We looked at the draft. You were late for that. We talked about the trade deadline. You were late for that. All right, so now you get the tail end of it. We're not going backwards and talk about the draft and trade deadline. So we're just looking at the 2021 offseason and free agency period. What was your thoughts on it, man?
First off, forgive me for my tardiness. Salute to you, Sim. Salute to the Queen. Salute to that idiot on the bottom there. And Gary, I think this is the first time. Is it Gary or
it's Gavin? It's Gavin.
Gavin, I totally apologize. Gavin's good. Everything. Salute, Isaiah. No, what I was going to, from a personal standpoint, And y'all know how much I get into my feelings. So, from a personal standpoint, when I first heard about the free agents that we got and the money that we were giving these guys, I had no problem with it. I really didn't. Um, it's just that now, looking back at everything, um, it just didn't work out. We were expecting what we saw last year, the same production, and it didn't happen from a mental standpoint and from a physical standpoint. We gave Noel that money, and how many games did he play this year? A handful, right?
Right.
Pretty
Gave who
much.
the money?
Noel. We gave him a contract, right? He only played a handful.
Right.
We gave Alec Burks the money, but we didn't get the same production out of him. But then again, he was playing out of position as well. So that's another thing. When I heard that we were getting Kimba and we were getting Fournier for Fournier, I was real happy about it because I knew what he was capable of. I knew that his defense was not good. I didn't know it was this bad, but I knew his defense wasn't good. But I knew that he was going to give us the production. And in the beginning and in the middle, he wasn't giving us neither. So that's why people were having him, had his bags, packed. Now the Kimba thing, I did not know that his knee was this bad, and it just exploded on us. And so they shut him down. They put in Rose. Had no problem with bringing Rose back because that's a savvy veteran. That's one of Tibbs's boys. I had no problem with it.
He only played 25 games too. I mean, you getting on Noel. Rose only played 25 games too.
Right.
Okay, understood.
So,
but
still what? Come on. He didn't help us. He didn't help us out this season either.
No, he didn't. You're right. He didn't either. So bottom line, all the signings that we did this year made us look bad. Made us look really, really bad. And on the Randall signing, people got to understand, last year, we didn't have fans in the Garden until later on, during the season. So if he made a mistake or whatever, he could play through that and not have any, fans saying anything to him. They would only say stuff, on Twitter, or whatever. Now with fans in the stands and voicing their displeasure of what he's doing, that added to his, to his mentality of, I don't give a damn, pretty much. I don't care. So that was why he was going off on, on the fans and everything. He didn't have to deal with that last year. Mm-hmm. So bottom line, you're asking for a grade.
Yeah. What do you give the grade for the off season?
I'll give him
and then we're gonna go around.
I'm so tempted to give him an F and everything, but I'm gonna show a little bit of pity and give him a D.
Pity. Okay. All right.
Pity.
All right.
Pity, yeah.
Pity on millionaires. That's a new one for me.
Okay. As far as the off-season free agency, for me, not mad at the Julius Randle contract. And I know because of Julius Randle's season, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's this crazy contract. I just don't think so. I don't think it's a crazy contract for, who he is. And the contract doesn't start until 2022, 2023, right? So, this season and, what has been a really bad season for Julius Randle, he made $21.7 million this season. Okay? Let's hope that he can, play better next season. If he's back in New York, he'll make 26.1 next season. He'll make 28.2 in 23-24. And then in 24-25, he'll make $30.3 million. And then there's a there's a player option for 25-26, which is $32.4 million. Now, depending on how Julius Randle plays over this time, he may opt out if he thinks he can get more money, or if he doesn't think he can get more money, he'll opt into that $32.4 million. I don't think it's an albatross of a contract. I actually think it's a fair contract for Julius Randle. And I think it's tradable if the Knicks want to trade him, because it is a fair contract. So I was Cool with that contract. Kemba Walker, 2 years, $18 million. You know, I wasn't sure when they signed him. I just wasn't sure, you know, how to feel or where to go with it. I liked the story of Kemba Walker playing for the Knicks. I just wasn't sure if he was going to be healthy. And I wasn't sure, even if he was healthy, if he was the kind of guard that the team needed. You know, so I was kind of up in the air. And based on what happened would determine if it was a good contract or not. If he played well and he helped the Knicks win, then it's a good contract. If he didn't play well, then it's a bad contract. So it ends up being a bad contract, right?
So
because
Sim,
he didn't play well. And
So Sim, can I ask you this question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you this question? Did you think Kim coming in, did you think that he was going to be somewhat of a floor general for us?
I thought that he was going to play more of that role this season, but I also knew that it wasn't him. That's not what he did. I remember we had a show where I got into a big argument with Mark about he's not going to be the second option on the team, right? That I thought he was going to do a little bit more facilitating than be a second option on the team. And Mark was like, nah, he's coming. He's going to give you the 19 and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? So it turns out to be a bad contract.
Yeah, and to be fair, Sam, I mean, I know for me, my expectations with Kemba was that we all should have known, like, defensively that was going to be it. I wanted him to be just more of a 15-6 kind of guy, right? That's what I was looking for Kemba. That's what I wanted from Kemba, was to make us stable, because I really thought, like, healthy-wise, if you got a dose of Kemba for maybe like 20, 25 minutes and then you give D Rose another 20, I thought you really couldn't stop that for a most part. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like with that one, I see you later, Queen. For that one, I thought it was really, that's what I really wanted from Kemba this year, was like a 15-6 kind of guy. I didn't need him to, and on good efficiency. I didn't need him to really, like, you know, the 19, and that was over for him. You could see that in Boston,
Right.
that it was over from him.
Right. He didn't need that.
You know,
didn't need that.
yeah.
But, you know, as it turns out, you know, it ends up being not a good signing. The contract isn't terrible. You know what I mean? He's making $9 million. Not a good signing. Let me say it that way. Evan Fournier, 4 years, $78 million. Team option in year 4. I'm not upset at the contract. I actually thought when they signed him, I felt like it was going to be a good fit, right? I felt like, you know, with having, I don't remember, I believe they signed Evan Fournier first, but I felt like with having R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle, you know, guys that were going to have the basketball in their hands, Evan Fournier was a smart signing because he didn't need to have the ball in his hands. He was going to be off the ball. He can catch and shoot. He can get the ball on his fingertips and on his toes and let it go. He can shoot the 3 in transition. You know what I mean? So he didn't need to have the ball in his hands to try to create for somebody else. That's the reason why I thought it was a good signing. And, you know, people argue about, well, people was cool with Evan Fournier, but they was mad at DeMar DeRozan. If the Knicks were going to sign DeMar DeRozan, and obviously it turned out to be that DeMar DeRozan had a great season. So a lot of people were wrong about DeMar DeRozan, including myself. But I just felt like,
me as well. I didn't want him in the first place. I didn't want him.
Yeah, you know, I just felt like it would have been too many people with the ball in their hands. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like with what you had, you needed someone who can just catch and shoot, come off screens and knock it down, those type of things. That's why I thought Evan Fournier was a good fit. You know, so and I'm still not mad at the contract. I know in the beginning of the season, he started off not playing well. You know what I mean? He was getting wide open shots and not hitting them. Towards the end of the season, he started to find the groove, understand what he needed to do in the offense. I know he's not a good defender, but you need a guy like that can shoot the basketball, in my opinion. And if he ends up being a guy that comes off the bench, he's making $18 or $19 million. It's not like he's getting paid a crazy amount of money. And you know.
And Sim, if you want to, and to be completely honest, I see, again, I'm not mad about the money. It's not, to me, it's not. I mean, even though the year's still on bad, right? Guys that do what Evan Fournier do get paid that kind of money.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. If you score nowadays, if you score 16, 17 points on good efficiency, you're gonna get $15 to $20 million. That's what you get paid now, as a high efficient role player. That's what you get paid now, man.
That's the going rate. That's the going rate, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, people were complaining. I guarantee you, Sim, on the Nothing But Miami Heat channel, They are killing Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, well,
Because that dude's getting paid. He got a 5-year, $90 million contract, and from what I see, people are Heat fans are pissed off at him. He played horrible, and he's coming off the bench. So, I mean, look, it's.
no,
people are upset.
I get it. I mean, I'm not like I said, I'm not mad at that contract. All right, I was okay with the contract. Now, Alec Burks, 3 years, $30 million. There's a team option in year 3. Yeah, so it ends up being $10 million a year. Right now, Alec Burks is getting a really bad rap because he played point guard down the stretch. Not his call. Tom Thibodeau's call. All right? That's Tom Thibodeau's call. He just did what he was asked to do. You know what I mean? Am I in favor of moving him? Yep. Would I be upset if they kept him? Nope. Because, he's a guy which, you don't want him to play point guard, things like that. But in a pinch, he can play 3 different positions. You know what I mean? And I think that's the reason why Tom Thibodeau likes him on the basketball team.
I'm not mad at him either, for him.
Can I finish my part? Can I finish my part?
I can never tell when you're finished or not.
My part is when I give my grade.
Yeah.
How about that?
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
All right.
Wait a minute. Time out.
No, ain't no time out.
Now this dude over here can interrupt and say everything, but
I hit the mute button and the gas face button. How about that? Anyway, Nerlens Noel.
Right.
Nerlens Noel, 3 years, $28 million. Similar contract to Alec Burks. Ends up being a bad contract because he's not playing. Right? So it ends up being a really bad contract. Not a really bad contract, but not a good signing because he's not playing. And then Derrick Rose ends up, he's making more money than Nerlens Noel. Right? Derrick Rose is making $13, $14, $15 million a year. He's making $15 million more than Nerlens Noel over the life of this contract. Again, there's a team option in year 3. Let's hope. I like Derrick Rose. But it ended up being a rough sign. And signing Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker as your 1 and your 2 point guards, your starting and your backup point guards, like the Queen said, that's problematic. I think that is problematic because you got to have someone who's going to be there and be steady. You know what I'm saying? And I think they missed the boat on that with those 2 guys because both of those guys injury prone. And then, Kemba Walker hadn't been injury prone up until recently. Now he's injury prone. Taj Gibson, 2 years, $10 million. I'm cool with that. I like Taj Gibson, $5 million a year. You know what I mean? He's not going to complain about his role. He's going to be a leader in the locker room. When you need him to get on the floor and give you some production, he can give you some production. Everything that you need. You know what I mean? I hope that he retires a Knick. I wouldn't mind having him come back after next season either.
Yeah, just to chime in, so I'm not mad about that because I do think Taj is if he doesn't retire this year, it's going to probably be. I think this year is probably going to be his last year, and then if not, he's probably going to do if it's not, he's going to be like Udonis Haslem on the Knicks, or possibly he might want to retire as a Bull. He has every right to. He's a legend either way. I would love for him to be on our coaching staff. I would really love that. Because there's always him and guys like Jared Jack. They just belong.
Yeah, I get it. But here's the thing. I don't mind him, even if you sign a guy to a 2-way or whatever and he's going to play, I don't mind him being on the team because you just need that guy when there's a team meeting or the guy that needs to talk to players. You need that guy. And once you transfer or transition over to the coaching staff, it changes. Now you're part of the coaching staff. Now you're in all of the coaching meetings. And so now the trust and the bond between, and not to say that there's a bad trust or bad bond between the Knicks coaches and the players, but just like a teacher and a student. You know what I'm saying? You can have a good relationship, but when it's all said and done, there's a teacher and there's a student. Right? And I feel like it's the same way. So when you have a guy like Taj who can be a player, he can kind of, be that conduit between the players and the coaching staff. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't mind having him around for a little while. Yeah, I know eventually he's going to retire, and he should, but I don't mind having him be Herb Williams for a little bit. You know what I mean? So there we go. You know, I give him a D for the offseason, right? I gave him a B for the draft, a B for the deadline. I gave him a D for the offseason. Overall, I'm at a C+. That's where I'm at. And I'm looking in the chat right now because I put a poll in the chat. 201 votes. 43% of the people give the front office a C overall. All right, so put your vote in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, because when we factor in the final score, the final grade, we're using part of it is going to be what you graded them, okay? Let me get to Spree. I want you guys, while I'm talking to Spree, I want you guys to think about what your final grade is. We're going to add up those final grades. We're going to give them a grade, and then we're going to move on to the coaching staff. Spree, what's popping with you, bro? How you feeling?
Sam, I appreciate you defending Burks a little bit. He was put in a tough spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I'm okay with moving him, even though that's my guy. But like, when I re-signed him, I assumed he was going to be playing the same role he played last year.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come into training camp thinking he was going to be playing point guard.
No, I mean, well, the thing is, he played some point guard last year. Down the stretch of games, sometimes he was playing point guard.
Yeah. Well, a couple things here. My biggest issue I think it was a C off season. So you and I are close. My biggest issue, I don't have an issue with the Randall contract because eventually I think he'll get his value back up. And I don't have an issue with the draft. I like Cam Reddish if he actually plays. Derrick Rose was incredible last year. I didn't really have an issue with Derrick, even though, yeah, there's risk with Derrick. He's older. But whatever. He's Derrick Rose. Alec Burks, to me, deserved that contract if he's playing in the role and he would be effective. I don't really have an issue with the Fournier, and I still don't. I just think Evan Fournier shouldn't be playing. I think he can be effective on a winning team. I just think he has to be. You can't really. I mean, yeah, if we have better defenders on the court, the team has to be better supported around Evan. Evan has his flaws, but Evan, to me, like Big Bubba said, those guys get paid that. What he does to make threes, that was a lot of it was Randall. Some Evan missed some, but guys get paid that. So I don't have an issue with the Fournier. My biggest issue was the Kemba thing, Sam, because I thought, like you said, and like Steph said, it's a risk if you bring Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose, and those are the guys that you have to put your faith in. They're both older players.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying Kemba was injury prone, but the year before with the Celtics, there was talk that I know he got traded to the Thunder, but there was talk that Kemba was done.
Yeah.
I mean, Boston gave him away for a box of cookies.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? There was definite concern that Kemba Walker was done, or at least was not going to come back the same. And it's proven now that he wasn't able to come back the same.
Yeah, so like my issue was I did not think that the Knicks could do that risky move. I thought in order for this team to take the next step after an incredible year last year, I thought they needed more of a sure thing at point guard where you got health, you got playmaking, you got Julius better, you got a floor general. We did not get that. I personally wanted Kyle Lowry. Was it a pipe dream? Sure. Lonzo Ball I would have thought made more sense. But we did not answer the point guard position. And the thing about it is I still believe IQ did some nice things at the end of the year. I would have liked to have seen IQ get more reps. But am I comfortable with IQ and Derrick Rose next year? Absolutely not. I'm not. Maybe other people on this panel will disagree with me. I like IQ. He's the only one in D.C., Sim. In Georgetown, the only four guys were getting up shots. They canceled shoot-around because guys were sleeping in. The only four guys that went to get up shots was MJ Burks, IQ, RJ, and Sims. Mm-hmm. So those are my four guys. They're the only four guys that woke up, that cared. I'm not saying the other guys don't care. That's not fair. But what I'm saying is those guys put in work. But my issue is I'm not comfortable with just bringing IQ and Rose. I still think we need a point guard.
That's just me.
No, we do.
People can hate on me.
Listen, I don't think there's any way that Kemba Walker's coming back. Derrick Rose, yes. Kemba Walker, no. I don't think there's a way. I think he's out of there. They handled it graciously, the Knicks and Kemba Walker. Just kind of saying, hey, it was a mutual decision. He's gonna go home, rest his knees, not gonna be with the team. He wasn't at any of the training facility. Other players, when they're rehabbing, they're still at the training facility. They're still with the team. They're still sitting on the bench. They're still helping in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
With Kemba Walker, he did none of that. Yeah. He's in Charlotte, I believe, rehabbing.
He hasn't been with the team.
Something like that, right?
He has not been with the team.
Can I say on the spring?
Yeah.
Hey, you hear me, brother?
I can hear you, man. What's up?
Yeah.
I don't know why people always ask that. Yes, I mean you ask that. Yes.
I just want to make. I just want to make sure Spree can hear me, man. That's it. No,
I can hear you, Big Bubba. What's up?
No, so I was gonna say. So the thing with me, right, with IQ, I mean, I'm a little more comfortable because me personally, I believe that the Knicks will most likely. So it's gonna be probably IQ, D Rose, and McBride. IQ has been. Knock on wood. I'm saying it now. He's been durable, right? I don't believe he's really missed that many games, or I don't even think he missed a game. If I'm not mistaken, did he get injured, Sim?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Go ahead. I'll figure it out. Go ahead and say what you say.
Yeah. So I'm saying I'll be comfortable with IQ, Deuced, and Rose if that's going to be the lineup, and if they do draft a point guard, which they could possibly do if they want to get a guy like Ty or the kid from the G League. I forgot it's Hardy. He starts with the H, his last name. I mean, I would probably be personally comfortable with that because, again, if D Rose goes down, we do know that IQ can fill that role to a certain extent, and he's durable. He hasn't really been injured from what I remember. And then McBride, I think another year with McBride under and him getting more comfortable, hopefully we can see something in Summer League, even though, granted, I'm not going to take too much with that because it's only going to be from it's April, May, June, July. So that's about 4 months of training that he'll get in by the time Summer League starts. I'd be comfortable. I'll be comfortable with that if they want to go that route.
I mean, look, and this is hard for me because IQ's from Maryland. Like, IQ's my guy, okay? I love IQ. But my issue is first of all, I wanted to see more reps. I saw some reps at the end of the year, and I liked it. But again, yes, IQ needs to get stronger. I still think he does not fit. Yes, he makes and ones. He does make some crazy and ones. I do not think he finishes around the basket enough for me. I think he sees the floor better than he did early, but I don't think he sees the floor great. I think he can make passes, but IQ to me is a guy that he can play it sparingly, but ideally I want him being a microwave scorer. Yeah, you got Dame. There are point guards that are really elite scorers. You got a Kyrie or a Lillard. IQ's not a Kyrie or a Lillard where you can do that for 35 plus minutes and roll it out. I don't see it that way.
I don't know.
As a Lou Williams.
I seen somebody on Twitter yesterday put a picture of IQ and a picture of Trae Young next to each other and said there's no difference between the two guys except for playing time.
No.
Somebody did it. Somebody did it. I seen it.
Look. Let's. There's a difference there. Come on. I mean, there's the vision, the passing. Come on.
I get it. Hey, Spree.
I'm just saying, just one last thing. Look, I don't want to hate on IQ if he's listening or his family's listening. I love IQ. I want IQ to be IQ. I think he's grown as a player. He needs to get stronger because I disagree with people who say he finishes great. He does not. He does not go all the way to the rim. He floats it. Yeah, he can get and ones. I'd like him to get stronger and finish around the rim. Maybe he will prove me wrong and be that point guard. I still think we need one more, and let's see in training camp. But that's all I got.
All right, Spree. I agree with you, man.
Hey, Spree, real quick.
Yeah.
What do you think of McBride?
What's up?
What do you think of McBride?
I like him, but he's not. I think he's a more of a defensive guy. I don't think he hasn't shown me he can run a team, but he hasn't got much opportunity. But I don't view him as a starting point guard.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah, I'm not there with him yet. Listen, no, seriously, I'm not there with him yet as far as being a starting point guard. I don't see really the court vision And even with some guys, if Trae Young only got limited minutes wherever he was playing, you would see the court vision. You would see some things that he does. You'd be like, oh, man, this guy, it's there. You know what I'm saying? Dude's got to work on some things. So, I'm not looking at him as being your starting point guard. But Spree?
No, not even
And
close.
IQ in college, Sim. IQ in college, he played some point, but he played a lot off the ball. Like, he was not Trae Young in college. Trae Young got all the reps at Oklahoma. And his vision is way better than IQ. So whoever tweeted that, I love you. I hope you're right and I'm wrong. I don't see that. And also, when people talk, people got to stop hating on Obi's defense. Julius didn't play good defense either. I think Obi can get better. That's all I got.
He can get better. Appreciate it, Speed. He can get better, but I think it has to more do with awareness with Obi rather than the want or willingness to play or the effort. You know what I mean? The effort is there. It's the awareness. You know what I mean? And the thing that scares people, I guess, is he going to get the awareness? You hope that he will and that he can. Not saying that he can't. I'm just saying that's what I think people see. When you talk about Obi in the defense. But I want to get you guys grades because I want to move on. You know what I mean? We can't stay on their transactions forever. We got a whole lot to get to. You know what I mean? Over these next 2 days. This is part 1, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing the players tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to get these guys to have. Like get to the point with what they're saying and not, go like all the way 5 miles around the point to get back to it, Isaiah.
Hey, I was about to say you can add me.
But anyway,
bro.
Your overall grade. All I need is one word. One. I mean, you explained everything else. So all you gotta do is tell me 1, A, B, C, D, whatever.
Oh, me? I'm gonna go over. Shut up, Kev. Overall, I'm going with a C.
Okay. All right. Gavin?
C overall.
Okay. Nugget Head right there. I couldn't get your name out. I was trying to find your name. I couldn't find it. In my mental Rolodex. So whatever came out.
Hey, Chat, add another nickname to it.
Nugget Head.
My bad. I was trying to get the name out. That's the first thing that came out.
Whatever. No, you meant to do that, man.
C. All right. And I'm looking in the chat. It looks like the chat gave him, majority of the chat, 45% of the chat gave him a C as well. And I'm right in the same boat. I'm actually a little bit more towards a C plus. You know what I mean? But it's all going to average out to be a C. The reason why is because I really am impressed with the draft. And I was a little bit happier with the trade deadline than I think other people because of things that they didn't do. But C it is, ladies and gentlemen. So you see the grade right there. All right. We give the front office a C for the season. And that's just mediocre. What can you say? That's just mediocre, ladies and gentlemen. And I know the front office came in feeling like they were going to take they made some moves that could help the team go to the next level. I do think that was their goal. Didn't happen that way, clearly. You know what I mean? 37 and 45. Didn't make the play-in. Wasn't close to making the playoffs. Now, clearly, there's some things that went awry. You know what I mean? They dealt with COVID more this year than they did in previous, but so did, or not previous years, but last year, but so did other teams. Derrick Rose missed a lot of time. That hurt the team. Nerlens Noel missed a lot of time. I still believe that hurt the team, right? Because defensively, he does give you a lot. So there are some things, but they got to see. Because those are things that all teams deal with. So you got to have enough depth to be able to get over top of them. You know what I mean? Let me get to a couple of super chats here. All right. Uncle Fulio. He said the Knicks front office didn't do anything catastrophic. A D is too low, in my opinion. A C is more appropriate, which that's what they ended up getting, Uncle Fulio, considering the payroll, the flexibility, etc. We had to fill out the roster Knicks had a ton of open roster spots. Well, Uncle Fulio, they ended up getting a C overall. All right. Ayub Matan said the front office stinks. The front office stinks. They draft Obi, but let him sit behind 30. We're talking about 2021, not 2000. We're talking about the 2021 draft and what happened this previous season. You know what I mean? And I really disagree that the front office stinks. I think they've made some smart moves. Obviously, every front office is going to make mistakes. You know what I mean? Everyone. D Rose, Ivan Omar, thank you for the super chat. He said D Rose, despite not playing, helped guide and develop all the guards. They said so themselves. So did Taj with the bigs. Listen, I agree 100%. I agree. But I still believe D Rose is worth he helps us better. He's more valuable on the floor than, helping the young guards on the bench, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The Knicks needed D Rose to be out there on the floor to help us get through some of those late game situations. You know what I mean? But, ladies and gentlemen, that's the grade for the front office. They got a C, which was, fair, in my opinion. I think that's a fair grade for the front office. I would like to hear what the front office, what they think about their, grades. But I think that's fair. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the coaching decisions made this season. All right? Because this is going to be a very interesting one.
Nuclear.
All right? You see nuclear. You see Kev, rubbing his hands together. He can't wait to chew his teeth into this one. Because he been waiting for months and months and months to just smash Tom Thibodeau. All right? But this is, it is what it is. In 2021, 2022, some of the coaching decisions, some of the criticisms for Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff. And I may have missed some. If you want to add anything, feel free to throw it in the chat. We can add it. Some of the criticisms. Bench Kemba Walker early in the season. You know what? It's a criticism. Some people, though, agreed with it. Some people disagreed with it. Either way, it's a criticism, right? He benched Kemba Walker early in the season. Some people will say he didn't give it enough time to work. Some people will say it wasn't going to work. Poor management of the Julius Randle situation. It's one of the criticisms that he's received. Not just the whole thumbs down thing, but in his treatment of Julius Randle and people believing he's not holding Julius Randle as accountable as he is other people or other players on the team. Right? So poor management of the Julius Randle situation. The entire thing. Questionable rotations. People want to see different guys out there on the floor and, in crunch time, or sometimes he brought back guys that you thought, hey, these guys are playing well. Why are you bringing this guy back in the game? So on and so forth. We've been over it all season. We don't need to rehash the entire thing right now, which we're actually getting ready to do. But played Alec Burks out of position for a good portion of the season. All right. Kemba Walker down. Derrick Rose down. All right. He had IQ. Could have went with. He wasn't comfortable there. Clearly wasn't comfortable with Deuce. Played Alec Burks at point guard. People not feeling that. Right? He played RJ in meaningless minutes. I forgot which game it was, and then RJ sprained his ankle. A lot of people was upset about that. Right?
That was Portland.
A lot of criticism that he played the youth too late. Some accomplishments. While a lot of people believe that he played the youth too late, the youth have seemed to have developed. Right? You've seen Obi Toppin the last few games, Emmanuel Quickly the last few games. Jericho Sims has been developing. Quentin Grimes, when he was playing, gave you some really good games. Okay, so the youth have definitely seemed to develop. And people are going to say that's despite Tibbs. I disagree. He stuck with IQ despite early poor play. And now you see what IQ is, well, not doing now, but what he did towards the end of the season. Early in the season, a lot of people were like, hey, get that guy out of here, bench him, he's shooting bad shots, he's going crazy, this, that, and the third. He kept him out there, continued to play him. Sat him when he felt like he needed to, reined him in, but he continued to play IQ, and it seems to have worked out. He managed to keep the team interested down the stretch. And there'll be some people that say, who cares? So what? I disagree with that notion too. You know what I mean? When you're out of the playoffs, you know, you have a young team out of the playoffs and it's easy for guys to be like, you know what? We're just going to mail it in. They did not mail it in, ladies and gentlemen. Right? They continued to fight. They continued to battle. They continued to play hard down the stretch. You know, people wanted them to tank. I did not. I want them to try to win basketball games, and they stayed interested. They stayed focused and continued to try to build. I mean, and that's tough to do. And some people say, you give a participation trophy. No, it's not. Because if you're building a team, you know, you got to find any little way to build. Right? But there you go. There's some criticisms, some accomplishments. Kenny Payne, he left. He's now coaching Louisville. You had Tibbs criticizing the media, which he even did on his last day. You know what I'm saying? You know, letting people know, like, you know, I watch the video. I watch each team before we play them, and then I watch the games after we play them, and I break down this, and I break down that, and I have this, that, and the third. You know, but people like Kev, he's so smart, he don't need to do all that. You know what I mean? He just got straight off the top.
Starting point guard for
Union College.
Union College, baby.
Union College, baby. Let's go.
Union County College.
Union County College. Don't forget the county up in that junk.
Can't forget that.
Anyway, Big Bubba, coaching decisions in 2021. What is your grade for the coaching staff in 2021?
C.
Talk to me about why.
Yeah, I know you got a lot of points for this, so I'm gonna make this more quicker. So C for me because it's just the decision between Tom Thibodeau, and I also thought that the decisions of the coaching staff not permanently being here was a big factor into some part of the season. Of course, Tom Thibodeau decisions just were very questionable throughout the whole season. Almost every other game we questioned about why did he do this, what's going on here. I mean, which we do, but I think this year it was a more heavy extent of what is he doing, or why did he put this X player out for this X player, or when this group is playing good, he puts this group back in. It was a lot of that this season, and I also thought a big thing with the C was that we never got a replacement for Mike Woodson. That was a big thing, especially when you lose Kenny Payne. Also, which you probably pretty much most likely knew what was going to happen this year, that he was probably going to leave. Because, of course, they know stuff way before we do. Mm-hmm. And that was probably in the works for maybe a couple years now of him being the coach of Louisville. So that was a big thing. Again, just not getting a replacement for Mike Woodson, which I thought was really big because they needed a guy like that, like an older a father figure in that locker room for them, because you see just how some of the antics of certain players go down. So, again, for this segment, I'm giving Tom Thibodeau a C.
Tom Thibodeau C. Okay. All right. Gavin. You're muted. You're muted.
I'm going to give him a C plus B minus.
Okay.
As far as rotations and in-game adjustments and decisions, I give him an F. I think that his in-game adjustments and decisions and rotations was terrible. But to his credit, he did the best that he could with the roster that the front office constructed with him. He has a very specific philosophy. He likes vets and he likes defense. Took away two key pieces of things that he likes. But the thing that I did like about Tibbs was, when people talk about development of the young players, I think the best thing that he did for them was teaching them how to wait their turn and wait till your number is called and staying ready so that you don't have to get ready. And I think it's a big thing of keeping the morale of the team high, even when we were on the verge of getting eliminated. The fact that the team wasn't just, like you said, just throwing in the towel and giving up, I think is a big plus and positive to how they view Tibbs as a coach. And it seems, but the chemistry overall on the team is good. So I think he did the best he could with the situation, the team that he was giving him. So I'll give him, like I said, a C+.
Okay.
Borderline a B-.
Yeah. You know what? It's really hard, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, and that's okay. And I know Kev don't want to hear it, but it's really, really hard to coach within. I don't know if unbalanced, I guess is the word, unbalanced roster, right? You have this number of guys that can only play defense, this number of guys that can only play offense. How do you mix and match and get the right chemistry out there on the floor? It's not easy. And people can shake their head and say, whatever you want. You can shake your head, Kev, and all of that. But it's true. It's very hard to, when it's unbalanced that way, to put it out there on the floor, without, in high school, you see, you got to make offensive and defensive substitutions during the end of the game. You don't want to see that in the pros, man. And he did that in the pros. He would make offensive and defensive substitutions sometimes. And I know you got to do what you got to do. So it is hard. I think it's hard to make the right decision all the time. First of all, no coach is going to make the right decision all the time. But it's hard to make those decisions when you look down your bench, you know what you need on the floor, and you look down your bench and you don't have it. Or you feel like you don't have it. You look down and you're like, damn, it's 3 minutes left in the fourth, and you want me to put Cornerstone in? Come on. What you want me to do there? Nah, I'll just stick with Big Bubba. Forget it.
Yeah, you should, man.
You dig what I'm saying? It's like that. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just saying it's difficult. And that happens, that's where I think the rotations come in, because you're not confident with what you have. And sometimes you feel like, this guy, he ain't going to make, he's playing good right now, but I want to get him out before it starts to go bad. It's a lot that goes into coaching. It's not black and white like people think it is. There's a whole lot that goes into it. But Cornerstone, go ahead, man. I'm putting you in the game.
All right. Respectfully, I have to disagree with all three of you. Well, not so much you, Gavin, of the F part. I'm giving him an F all.
Gavin didn't give him an F. Gavin gave him a C minus. He gave him high.
Gave him an F for. What did you give him an F for?
For coaching decisions and in-game adjustments and decisions.
Right. But he gave him a C minus, or he gave him higher.
That part.
Did you give him a C minus or a C plus? What you give him?
Is this my time? Is this my time?
What you give him, Gavin?
Like we're in the Senate or the House of Representatives. I have my time, right?
What you give him, Gav? You gave him a C minus.
I gave him a C plus.
Oh, but he gave him a C plus. So he gave him higher than Big Bubba. But go ahead, Gavin.
Fine,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Kevin said he agrees. I gave him an F for his in-game adjustments and rotations.
Okay.
Hey, Kev, who the hell is Hibby?
Hibby.
You said Hibby. You didn't. Oh, no, never mind.
I told you about smoking that chronic, didn't I? Didn't I tell you about smoking that chronic?
You're going way off the topic, man. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, exactly. Let me stay on topic, all right? I'm giving him an F all around. And here is why. I had so much faith in this coach going into the season. I had faith in him first game of the season that we were all at. Well, me and you. I don't know where Big Bubba was, but that we were at, and we won that game in double overtime. I still have faith in him when we lost to Orlando down in Orlando. Once we lost that second game to Orlando, the chips in the armor were starting to come off of me. All right. Once Kimba went down, along with Derrick Rose, he goes with Alex Burks, which was the dumbest and stupidest move to make, because he should have put McBride in there to give him some feel, to either starting quickly at the point and let McBride learn his way in. All right, we have young people on our team. At least the rookies. The rookies hardly saw any time this year. Grimes saw time, but the other two didn't. In Sims and McBride.
Seriously, Kev, you gonna die on that hill?
Wait a minute. I didn't interrupt you, did I? All right.
All
right. So that's the first thing. He didn't use he didn't use any of his players to the way he didn't. All right, that's the first thing. The front office got him Cam Reddish, who was a third year player. You would think that he would have put him in right into the rotation, but no. You use some chopped up excuse that he's got an injury and everything, so he doesn't come in. And then finally comes in and then hurts himself. What is that? But you see how many games for him to get into the game?
I mean, Tibbs can't control him.
I'm not done yet.
Tibbs can't control that he hurt himself.
I am not done yet. I am not done.
All right, go ahead. Do what you do.
All right. So that was another blemish on Tibbs right there. And then the icing on the cake. I know no one's going to agree with me, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I think he was afraid of Randall. That's why he didn't come after him, because he was afraid of him. He was afraid of what would happen if he did come after him.
You sure about that? That's
so
what
you think,
I'm positive.
So he thought Randall was going to beat him up?
Tibbs has a stronghold over all the other players except for Randall.
So, Kev,
for Randall. So that's why he let him. So no, I'm not done yet. I'm not done. You can ask your questions at the end. All right. There's no reason why one player, unless you're LeBron, should be out trumping everybody on your team to not being held accountable. And never once, last year and this year, you never heard Tibbs hold Randall accountable. Never. And if you did, I want you to show me proof, and then I'll say I'm wrong. But you've never heard him be accountable for Randall.
So you want him fired?
Do I want him fired? I wanted him fired back in the beginning of February. There you go. He's still got to go.
Do you want him fired now? Because just a couple of streams ago, you said I no longer want Tibbs fired. You literally said that, Kev. No. You said that you do not want him fired.
I don't want. You know what? You're right. I'm gonna be a man and stand by that. I don't want him fired now. But believe you me, if we have a sorry record by January 1st, I want him out of here. Okay. I want him gone.
All right.
I want him gone.
So Sim.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man. A lot of those losses could have been wins. If I'm not done yet. If he would have played his rookies, because you're right, he does play the young players, not to the extent that we want him to, but he does play his young players. He hardly plays rookies. These are rookies that he picked. They went to Tibbs. Which one you want? Oh, I want Grimes. I want McBride. And you know what? Sims, maybe and everything. But then you saw what Sims could do. Sims was 10 times better than what New Orleans was this year.
Yes,
we didn't even have New Orleans.
Yes,
all right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is he ran his players into the ground. And that's why every third quarter, when we would have a big lead against whoever, that other team would come back and either catch us or take the lead. And that's how we lost games.
So, Kev.
Someone said Kev got to be old because he used the word chronic. Someone said, I am Jerome said, you spit that hot 16 and don't want him fired? Come on, man. Yeah, you just did all that.
Oh, man.
No. So Kev, here's the thing, right? So to talk about it, the like what you were saying. So you don't think there's something different if Tom Thibodeau can talk to other guys differently, and and talk to Randall a certain way because he has to. He knows. Listen, at the end of the day, right? He knows Randall better than any of us know Randall. And every guy, and Kev, come on now, you played sports. I'm not, and this I'm not even joking about. You played sports. There are guys that can take the yelling. There's guys that can't take the yelling. There's guys like, please, like, don't yell at me. Like there's different strokes for different folks. And you have to understand, as a coach, you have to understand that you have to treat every player the same. And that means differently. You got to treat them different. You got to treat them differently. So every player responds to different things. You already see that Randall's off the hinges. Clearly off the hinges. And you think yelling at him is going to make it better? You think that's going to make it better for him to play, to be a function that we want him to be? No, clearly that's not working because, again, this is the same dude that's hitting laptops during the timeouts and going and doing other crazy stuff. So Tom Thibodeau has to handle that carefully. You know what I'm saying? We got to handle that carefully. So I'm not going to be mad at him about that because, first of all, and Tom Thibodeau's not scared about him getting hit. He's not scared of Randall. Secondly, can we please, and we've talked about this so many times, Kevin, I'm actually sick of talking about it, and I hope Sim has the numbers.
I got him.
The rookies played. Can we get off of this?
How come other players?
Hold on, Kev.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that respect. All right. I'm going to give you that respect.
Yes, we have to. This is the false narrative. This false narrative. And I don't agree with everything Tom Thibodeau, but this is a false narrative. The rookies played. Grimes was in the rotation, bro. Sims played the backup center for most of the year. McBride played. Bro, like, come on. What are we talking about? And then we can't, look, you can't, also we got to get off this. This is another thing that Thibs doesn't develop players. Because it can't be that he doesn't get the credit for RJ.
Isaiah, real quick, I never said that he didn't develop. I never said that he didn't develop.
Okay, but no, it's not just you. It's everybody here on the chat that'd be like, well, they just developed because they developed. RJ Barrett developed because he's going to develop. IQ developed because he's going to develop. Jericho Sims going to develop because Obi, bro. To say that Thibs is not developing these guys because he's not developing the way you want them to develop, it's a wholly different thing. Sim, call me, say if I'm wrong. There's the David Fisdale way of letting Kevin Knox do what he wants for a whole year because he got the ball and people didn't complain because they called that development. How did I do for Kevin Knox, Sim?
No, listen, I agree with you 100%. You know what I mean? Didn't do well. And listen, I like some things that you said when you said you got to treat every player different, every player the same, and that's different. Right? That was really good because every player, you cannot have one way that you treat all of your players. You know what I'm saying? You've got to look at players' personalities and understand how you address that specific player. Now, I can't speak on, if he held them accountable in the locker room or anything like that. I can't speak on it. The only thing I can say is this. The most powerful way to hold a player accountable is by benching him, putting him on the bench. And we didn't see that, right? He continued to throw him out there in the game, even if he's having a bad game, going to him down the stretch and things like that. So if you want to say holding him accountable for his play was not happening, all I can do is agree because that's what we've seen during the games. Now, you're going to have coaches who, like, I'm going to ride with my big guy no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Van Gundy used to throw Patrick Ewing out there no matter what. No matter what. Throw him out there. I remember Patrick Ewing had 1 point. Kept him out there on the floor in crunch time. So some players are going to do that because sometimes they feel like this player, even if he's not, hold up, wait, whoa.
No. Let him finish. Let him finish. No. Come on, Kev, let him finish, bro. Some coaches feel like I'm going to ride with my guy. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. That's all I'm saying is some people like, I'm going to ride with my guy because they feel like that guy, 50% of that guy is better than 100% of another guy.
You know what I mean? And that's how some people do it. But still, the only thing I can say is, if you're talking about accountability and you're focused on putting a player on the bench or keeping that player in the game, then no, he did not hold Randle accountable for poor play, poor shooting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Do I think he was scared of Julius Randle? No. Do I think he just approached Julius Randle differently than he would approach other people? Yeah. Did he approach Deuce McBride differently? Probably. Did he approach RJ Barrett differently than he approached other people? I'm positive of it. That's the way it goes when you're dealing with people with different personalities. So because you didn't see what you expect to see, right? Because you heard him yell Obi's name a bunch of times, maybe Obi just has that personality that he can deal with it. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say he was scared of him. If you want to say you don't think he held him accountable, okay, I can dig it. I'm not going to say he was scared of him.
And here's the thing too, right? So the way he deals with RJ, right? If you listen to RJ Barrett, he wants to be coached hard.
Mm-hmm.
He told you that. I mean, we all remember early in the season. We all heard him when Thibodeau said, "RJ, wake the f up during the game. Wake up." RJ responds to things like that. Listen to what Obi says. Obi wants to get coached hard. It happens. You can't, like I said before, if you play sports, you know there's guys that can't. I mean, look, when you play younger sports, you kind of got to take the coach yelling at you because you just got to listen to them. But I mean, you talk amongst the players and you be like, "Yo, bro, I don't like how the coach yelled at me," or "I don't like how this and this." You know what I'm saying? You got to figure out that everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's different. And then also coaches realize that you might, when you're younger, you might put a coach to the side a little bit, be like, "Hey, coach, just, certain things, if you understand how you feel and everything." But look, you gotta, again, it's just like people gotta dealing with. If we see how Randall's acting on the court, imagine how he is sometimes on practice or doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not here to put a narrative that Randall's fighting the players or Randall's doing this, but we don't know. And you got to handle him how you can. And you got to control the situation because you don't want the situation to blow up.
Yeah.
Now, I think when it comes to, again, yes, he gets an F for not holding him accountable on the court. But as far as him yelling and not yelling at him and not doing that, then I'm not going to give him a bad grade because you don't know how Julius Randle responds to those kind of things.
And you don't know you don't know what kind of things were said in the locker room, or like, for example, listen, the Knicks are a team that covers up a lot of stuff. The last time he was out could have simply been, we see what you did with the dude from Utah, Rudy Gobert and everything. We're gonna sit you down for a game. You never know. You don't know though that. So, on the court, you can say he wasn't held accountable.
Hey, but Sim, going back to that, hold on, Tev. Going back to that example, right? Remember when that thing happened? What did we say? He pushed Evan Fournier a little bit. But what happened when Tom Thibodeau and RJ grabbed him?
He didn't touch him. He did not touch him. When Tom Thibodeau grabbed him, like, he pushed a bunch of players, but when those two guys grabbed him, he didn't touch him. And that says a lot. But anyway, let me give my grade. All right? I'm not going to go off like Kev. I'm not going to go off like Kev did. Go ahead, Kev.
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Between the both of y'all,
yeah.
all the three, do you guys condone what Randall was doing this year?
Come on. Come on.
All right. Kev. That's all I want to find out. That's all I want to know.
But Kev, you knew that. Okay. Kev, nobody. No.
All right. We'll talk about that tomorrow when we do the player grades. We'll talk about that when we do the player grades. But as far as Tom Thibodeau and the way that I seen, his season this year, I think he had a rough season. You know what I mean? He had a rough season making adjustments. I think he had a rough season with his rotations. Some of it, I do believe, is the roster or was the roster. Some of it is just, he made the wrong decisions. And that happens. All right? He benched Kemba Walker early in the season. I'm not going to lie to you. I was on board with it at the time. I'm not even going to lie. I was like, okay, let's see what happens from here. a lot of people gave him credit for being willing to make a change early. Recognizing something early and making a change, some people thought it was too soon. At the time, I thought it was a good idea. Poor management of Julius Randle, I think he handled them poorly throughout the season. And I'm talking about accountability on the basketball court. The other stuff, I can't answer that because I didn't see that. Accountability on the basketball court, there were times when Julius Randle was brought back in the game and I didn't think he should be. There were times when he should have been taken out and he wasn't, in my opinion. Questionable rotations. There were times when, I just mentioned about Julius Randle. There were times when obviously he brought back players that weren't playing well. There were times when he left in some guys that we all support, left them in longer than maybe they should have. So did he have some questionable rotations? Yeah. He made some mistakes with his rotations this year. The playing Alec Burks out of position, everybody's upset, pissed off about it. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not really that upset about Alec Burks being out there. You know what I mean? When it comes down to the fourth quarter, you're going to put the guys out there that you want to put out there on the floor, right? A lot of times, Emmanuel Quickly was out there in that fourth quarter. I'm just not upset about it. Is he a point guard? No. Is he going to be the future point guard? No. This is what he felt was best at the time. And I don't see that him playing, if he came off the bench and IQ was starting that point guard, we're still going to be 37 and 45, in my opinion. We're still not making the play-in. We're still not making the playoffs. So I'm not really upset about that. RJ, he was playing in those meaningless minutes and sprained his ankle. Probably should have had him on the bench. Someone could also argue, hey, he's a young guy too, and you want him to get as much playing experience as possible, right? Because no one cared that Deuce McBride was out there or Quentin Grimes or Jericho Sims or those guys, and some of those guys are older than RJ. Right? So sometimes, you never know, and I'm just being honest with you. You never know when it clicks for somebody. You never know when that one play makes that player realize, oh, snap, this is how I do this, that, or the third. If you coach AAU basketball, you're going to lose a lot of games. And a lot of times you're going to get sent to the gym way across town that nobody goes to because you got eliminated from the tournament and you're in the consolation bracket. Now, you can decide, I'm not going to play that game and just take your team and go home, pack up your ball and sneakers and go. Or you can play that game. I've seen coaches say, I'm not playing in the consolation bracket and leave. I've never been that guy because I believe at any time your team can find a rhythm. And you got to be on the court to do that. Players can find a rhythm. Players can figure something out. So he's a young guy who wanted him out there. Sprained his ankle. Played the youth too late. I feel like he was playing the youth all along. It may not have been your favorite player, but I feel like he was playing the youth all along. Sorry. I do think that the youth developed over the season. I was one of the people who said, let IQ rest for a little bit, then get him back in there, but he stuck with him, made the right call. And then I still give him credit for keeping the team's interest down the stretch. But I feel like the questionable rotations, the poor management of the Julius Randle situation, I feel like those are big things, really big things that overshadow the team. So I'm giving them a C. I feel like those are big things that really overshadowed the team, man. So I'm looking in the chat, and I see right now about 48% of the people give him a C, 35% give him a D. You got 5% that give him an A, and 12% give him a B. And the reason why there's not an F up there, ladies and gentlemen, is because I can only put 4 options. You know what I mean? And to me, I don't think he gets an F anyway. I think that's just preposterous, whatever the word is. I just think it's ridiculous.
Whatever.
I think it's ridiculous. For most coaches that step out there on the floor, you get a D, in my opinion, just for stepping out there on the floor, because most people won't even step out there on the floor. as a coach, I get parents all the time and hear people in the stands say, do this, that, do this, that, do this, that. But not one of them will step up and try to coach. They're like side seat, passenger seat drivers, back seat drivers. They don't want to tell you to do this, that, and the third. But they're sitting back there eating chips while you're the one paying attention to the road. I mean, it's hard to coach. It's a very, very hard job. Very hard job.
Hey, Sim, I remember when, I don't know if you told, I think this was between me and you. I forgot. I remember you told me a parent, no, you couldn't make it to a practice one day. And you had to ask one of the parents to do the practice.
Yeah.
And basically, I remember you said it was they was basically doing free gym.
Basically, that's what they did.
They weren't running drills.
Yeah.
They weren't doing.
Although I gave them an entire practice schedule.
I don't know if you. I think you told that between me, but I always remember that because again, right? People think it's easy. People think it's like, oh, just go shoot or just go or do a scrimmage.
Yeah, it's tough. But from what it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, with all the scores combined, including the chat, Tom Thibodeau gets a C-, which I think is fair.
I'm outraged.
I think it's fair. I'm pretty sure you're outraged, man. I know, I get it. But I think a C- is fair. You know what I mean? It's not, we could have skewed it and gave the man an A or B. You know what I mean? I think a C- is fair.
You got first-year coaches already either in the play-in or the playoffs.
So
Let that sink in.
So what? So what? I mean, cool. You do know that a lot of your coaching ability depends on the players that you have on your basketball team. Steve Kerr made it to the finals 3 years in a row, but when all his players went down, what happened? They didn't make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Because his players went down. You can't base Tom Thibodeau on a first-year coach making the playoffs. Happens all the time.
Would you agree that the players for at least half those players for Charlotte are better than our players? Because that coach has been there 3 years now. Been to the playoffs 3 years straight.
You said, would I agree?
They were in the play-in, not playoffs.
You know what I'm saying, but they're still in the postseason right now, and we're still looking.
I don't understand your question.
The question
Technically,
is,
this is in the postseason.
I don't understand your question.
the question is, I mean, the question I'm asking is that, do you think the players on Charlotte are better than the players that we have? Pound for pound, on paper.
I mean, well, you got LaMelo Ball there now. He's really, really good. He's going to be a star in this league. Bridges has turned into a star. You got Terry Rozier. I mean, they've got some really, really good players on that team. You know what I mean? Are they going to win a championship with them? Who knows? But let me tell you something. All right, Borrego, he's been coaching that team since 2018, 2019. First season, they were 39-43. He didn't get fired. Second season, he was 23-42. He get fired. Last year, he was 33-39. He didn't get fired. None of these years he made the playoffs. None of them. I'm looking at it right now. This year, he's 43-39.
We have a coach that won Coach of the Year, and then the next year is on the outside looking in. And
So,
that's
Kev,
his track
Every
record.
season tells its own story, Kev. Every season is different. And you got to deal with different obstacles.
What's Tim's track? Gavin, go ahead. I mean,
Hold on. Let me get to the caller, because he or she's been patient for a while. All right, so let me get to the caller. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Sam, what's good? It's D from North Carolina.
What's going on, D? How you feeling, man?
Doing good. First, I'm going to say real quick before I forget, to Kev about the first-year coach and all that. Tibbs, you got to look at, again, the team that they had to get to where they're going, and they didn't have the mess up that we had. Most of it was because of Randall stuff. My biggest problem with Tibbs was the way he handled the Randall situation. In all reality, I was sitting looking after the last game and realized how much he did develop the youth. You know, at first I was kind of hesitant, but I looked and I've seen how much he did develop the youth. Now, as far as the whole organization, I feel it's more of like a B-. And the reason I say that is because even if you look from not last year's draft, the year before, when they traded, I don't even remember who it was. They traded, I think it was Solomon Hill, and then they traded, and then they got him, signed him, and then traded him for a pick right away. And then they started building assets. If you look at all the past, front offices we've had, they've been giving away everything. They're actually building up to where we have assets and we can make a trade without trading the players that we want to keep.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at that as a big positive. And as far as like everybody saying Fournier, I like Fournier signing. I think that we knew he wasn't great on defense. I think his defense looked a little bit shakier, like you were saying, because the whole team and the chemistry wasn't there, and there was all the issues. But you looked on like how he played when he was playing for France. He was playing good, because the chemistry was there and everybody was trusting each other. I think that's what took him so long to get into the groove of things from the beginning of the season toward the end. He was learning where he fit and getting adjusted with everybody. So for me, like I said, the main problem I had with Tibbs was that he didn't sit him when he needed to. I agree with when they were saying that everybody needs to be treated differently, but he should have sat him. He didn't have to yell at him, but he should have sat him when he needed to be sat.
Mm-hmm. No.
And
yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, I agree.
And it's just a lot of things like that. And like what people were saying about, I'll go real quick before I forget about it again, about like Obi's defense and all this stuff. Look, Tibbs developed Obi, and I saw how Obi and Quickly were embracing Tibbs after the game. So obviously Tibbs has been developing them and lifting them up. And I think Tibbs is still going to be developing Obi's defense, because fundamentals could be fixed, but Randall's issue is mental. That's harder to fix than fundamentals. You can learn fundamentals. You can't learn mental.
Yeah.
So it's things like that I see, and that's why I think I give them a B- overall, because they were collecting assets, not giving them away. And I didn't want them in the offseason. As much as I wanted certain things to happen, I did not want them to go out and get Lillard and give away the whole storehouse, and then we're stuck at being mediocre. And who says that Lillard comes here and doesn't get hurt because he's already older? So I'm glad that they didn't do that, because that's what the Yankees did for years. Like when they went out and got Randy Johnson and gave him this big contract, and he was already done. So I think they're going about it the right way. It might not be in the timeline everybody wants, but like in the offseason, I think you said it or somebody else said they were looking to make moves, but at the end of the day, they said, well, there's nothing really that's blowing our mind, so let's just stick to the plan. And hopefully that's what happens this season, this offseason, because as much as I think Randall has to move on, to me, I think the best scenario, especially after the way Obi played at the end of the season, I think keep Randall until the trade deadline and then trade him unless you get something that blows you away. Because that way Obi doesn't get thrown into the frying pan right away, and he could develop more.
Okay. All right. Hey, listen, there's different ways to go about it in developing players and getting what, helping them to get the best out of themselves and what they want for themselves. Different ways to go about it. Some people might say, hey, let him rock. He's ready for it. You think maybe he needs another year or something like that. There's different ways to go about it. There's no one way that, to me, that's right or wrong as long as that player is developing. And, we've seen him develop. Listen, the thing is, though, whether he's starting or coming off the bench, he needs more time because he can help the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. And, of course, like I said, the minutes needs to, increase. But I think, too, if he comes and he's coming behind Randall, like I said, if we get a trade offer that makes us better and doesn't kill the team, go for it. Let Randall go. Let him walk in the offseason.
Right.
But if not, wait till the trade deadline and let Obi come out and really earn his spot and not have to deal with what Randall did from this last season to this season with everything getting put on Obi's back right away. Because that's what I already see people doing. Oh, Obi's are the next Kobe. Listen, let him develop to who he's going to be without putting the weight of New York City on him.
I hear you. D, I appreciate your time, man. I do want to let you know, D, where are you? Are you in North Carolina?
Yeah.
You're in North Carolina, right? I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but, in the description of this video here, we have links to Facebook groups for different areas, right? We got Philly, we got DC, we got Charlotte, we got Atlanta, we got Miami, Orlando, you know what I mean? And what we're trying to do is get people in those groups so that, we can set up events within those different cities, you know what I mean? So if you're on Facebook, check out the group, go in the link in the description of the video here and click on one of those Facebook groups, man. The one that's close to you.
Another thing real quick, if you don't mind, like the last show, I was going to say too, everybody got all hyped with Obi's last two games. Look, I'm a big supporter of Obi. I think that he should have been getting more minutes from the beginning. But let's also remember that when he played the Wizards and when he was playing the last game too, that their stars weren't in the game. When I see Obi doing that against like the Bradley Beals and all that stuff, then you could start putting him up on that pedestal. But Kyle Kuzma wasn't even in the Wizards game.
All right. So, we'll see if he's able to do it. D, I appreciate your time. All right.
Appreciate it, Tim.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Hey, how come this is the first time you're hearing about these Facebook groups?
Because they just started yesterday, Kev.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Kev, I know you don't be listening to him because he's talked about this before.
Sheesh. Got the Julius Randle syndrome over there.
Guys, I have to go. It
Thank
was a
God.
pleasure talking with you. Know what, Isaiah, oh man, I just want to hit you right in the nose. Just in the nose.
All right, Milk. All right, Milk.
Guys, I love y'all. Take care.
Kev.
Okay?
Appreciate
I'll
you,
talk
man.
to y'all.
All right, Kev.
Okay, peace.
Caller, you're live, man. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yes, this is Rob the Knicks, AKA today, Leon Rose.
All right.
Smoke.
What's going on with you, my
Mr.
man?
Loud.
What's up? What's up?
Isaiah, I want you. Hey, look, you better look. Isaiah, you don't got nothing to say. I got smoke for you. But look, I've been on hold so long, I don't know what the topic is. So y'all got to refresh, and I can go from there.
Right now, I mean, we were just talking about the coaching staff. They got a C- from the panel and the chat combined. They got a C-. The front office got a C for the season. What's your grades for them?
The front office, to me, got an A.
Okay.
The coaching staff,
Come on, Rob.
Tibbs got a C. And the coaching staff, I give them a B because they following Tibbs. So, but the reason why I say the front office has an A is because this is what I said all day long since December. If you look at the team, you know the direction. New York Knicks fans are blaming the front office for the first time in their life because they got options. Oh, we don't know where we're going. But when we did know where we're going, it was always down. It was always down. Now that we have options, Leon Rose don't talk. Leon Rose did everything that he said he was going to do in the beginning. Now, Tibbs went rogue, as far as I'm concerned. Tibbs went rogue.
He went rogue.
He went rogue. He's a rogue agent. So, and this is what I mean that Tibbs went rogue. When you're developing, look, if the team is going, if you got 9 young players, I gave you your vets to keep the team relevant. We're not going to do what OKC did. See, New York Knicks fans think that the only way to go young is to scrap the whole thing. I always said earlier part of the season, look at San Antonio. They kept all their young players, but they let the old players develop the young. Then they traded them, got rid of them. If you look at San Antonio's roster right now, they probably got 2 players now that's in no more than 7 years. 2 players. You got 7, and then you got 5. We did it from that standpoint. You cannot you got to let these veterans take the bullet for the young guys. You have to. So New York can fall in love with the young guys and let Randall, you let Fournier, they play, and then you do it like that. And then once you get and then as these young players grow, you start removing the old players out the way. And Leon Rose always said when he first came, and Tibbs did too, that we're going to build from the draft young players. And they stayed the course. Even though last year was last year. Knicks fans got caught up on last year, and they wanted to build on that old team. But that was not the plan. We had a good last year's season. This season, yeah, we took a little bit of hit, but if you really look at it, we won 37 games. Last year, we won 41.
We only played difference? 72. We only played 72, though, last year.
Okay, but we still, look, even Atlanta just won 41. 41 is 41.
No, what I'm saying is we probably would have won, let's say, at least 5 more. So we would have been, if it was 82 games based on last season, we probably would have won 46 or 47. So now you're talking about, 46 games compared to 37 games this season. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like it's just 4 games difference.
I understand that exactly. But look, you also look at it like this here. So what's the big uproar on 5 or 6 games? The team is still the same. They made a change. They took out Bullock. They Alfred Payton gone. And then you tried to make the team better. So what? It didn't work. It didn't work. Who knew that Grimes was going to be like this? We didn't know that. We didn't know.
But I guess what I'm asking you, is how did Tibbs go rogue?
Because Tibbs, look, when it came down to the All-Star break, this is why I say Tibbs went rogue. If you're asking for, Rose went down, you play your roster before you start asking for anything else. You play your roster. And I feel as though Tibbs did not play the roster. Tibbs did not play the roster. Tibbs was hard-headed. He did a lot of things that he shouldn't have done. I feel as though if he would have played the roster, maybe we'd have won that 45 games. I'm not giving you nothing if you didn't play your roster. If I'm going to play
Rob, go ahead, Gavin.
Rob, I got a question real quick. When you say play the roster, are you referring to the young kids?
Exactly. That's the roster.
So the only 2 young kids that did not play was Deuce, and Sims played over the course of the last month and a half. So
I say this is what I say to that. This is what I say to that. I'm saying if you're playing somebody 6 minutes a game, you're not playing somebody. Yes, you can put it will look on the stats that you're playing because you're in the game. But I mean playing somebody.
But that's where like Deuce was the only person that was only getting like a couple of minutes a game. I mean, still, this happens every single time. It happens every single time. People don't count RJ. People don't count Mitch. People don't count IQ, and people don't count Obi.
You don't count them because they was there before Tibbs got there.
But they're the young kids.
Hold on. Obi and IQ was not there before Tibbs got there. Obi and IQ was not there before Tibbs got there.
No, look. This is what I say about Obi and IQ. IQ was playing. You was playing Obi. If it wasn't for those 2 games that Randall was out, Obi was averaging 11 minutes a game before he got 40. He was
I get it.
No, you don't do that.
I get it. I understand. I dig that. You know what I'm saying? But, for people to, see, everyone, I don't know. People want all the young guys to play all the 30 minutes a game. It just doesn't happen that way, man. I feel like
is when the season starts sinking, like it was, you try things before you ask for things.
Yeah, well, I think it did.
Hard-headed. Tibbs was straight hard-headed.
See, I just disagree because
But Rob,
I feel like
tell me why. Tell me why.
But Rob, this is the thing which we talked about earlier, that we got to display this notion about him not playing the kids. Like I really don't get what. But he did
not playing the kids.
But he did.
Is not playing the kids.
Hold on, but okay, Rob. Going back, literally last year when Obi and Quickly were here, Quickly played. Tom Thibodeau first year with the Knicks, Quickly played.
But that was a need, though. But he needed to play because
he didn't. Why did he need to play?
Bro, he played. Hey, everyone keeps saying because he need every. I don't get it. He earned his right to play, so he played. You had Frank Ntilikina that could have played, right?
No,
who had already been there. What I'm saying is people keep, people want to discount Obi. They want to discount Quickly. They want to discount Mitch. They want to discount RJ. Those are 4 guys. That's 40% of your rotation. There were guys 23 and under. That makes no sense. I'm sorry.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, as far as Tibbs is concerned, look, as far as like RJ is concerned, he was like grandfathered in. But when you look at Quickly and you look at Obi, look what Obi said in his press conference.
I know exactly what he said, but what I'm saying is you can't base it on just one person or 2 people. There's several guys. These guys, I don't care if they were there before. It doesn't matter to me if they were there before Tibbs or not. He had to make the decision to play those guys.
But when you 10 games under 500 and you think that the season is sinking back in, you go in February, you win 1 game,
bro,
and you don't try nothing.
Rob, I have a question.
I just disagree, man. These guys have been playing all season long. Quentin Grimes is a rookie and was playing.
We're not talking. Hey, Sims,
we're not talking about Quentin Grimes. Okay.
You win 1 game in February. And
I get it. I understand that. And still they were in contention to make the play-in. That was their goal. That's what they were trying to do. But it does not mean that these guys weren't playing. The Knicks young kids, 8 kids on their team averaged 18.5 minutes per game. Right?
No.
I'm just telling you. There's only hold up. There's only a couple of teams.
We're not talking.
There's only a couple of teams. Only a couple of teams that have that many players. Young players playing that many minutes. The Hawks got 6 players 23 or under. The Cavaliers, 6 players 23 or under. The Pistons had 10 players 23 or under. Right? When you go down the league, there's only a few teams that had these many players.
We have 9.
That young. playing that many minutes. You know what I'm saying? It's only a few teams.
But
the Knicks were right in the middle. The Knicks were right in the middle. They were 12th in the league in young guys playing. But they had 8 kids. Most teams had 5. You had a couple that had 10. One team, the most, Oklahoma City, had 12.
Sim, it's just, again, Rob, it's just, Sim, can you please, Sim, hold on, but can you do something for me? Can you please just post the numbers of Grimes, Sims, and McBride for the whole chat to see? Because this notion that Thibodeau doesn't play it just, to me, I'm sorry, bro. You can hate this for his rotations, you can hate this for the way he did Randall, but what you can't do is sit here and talk about him not developing these players and him not playing these players, because that's a false narrative that we're doing, because those two things.
Quentin Grimes, a rookie. Quentin Grimes averaged 17 minutes a game. Rookie averaged 17 minutes per game. And ladies and gentlemen, Quentin Grimes was not playing down the stretch of the season when the young guys were playing. He's not playing down the stretch of the season. I mean, he wasn't playing. He's a young guy. It just baffles me, when people discount Mitch, discount RJ because they were here before. Doesn't matter. This man had to make the decision to play him. Emmanuel quickly averaged 23 minutes a game. He averaged 19 minutes a game last year. He averaged 23 minutes a game this season. And I know people are going to look at Obi and say, well, look what he did during the end of the season and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I get that. Right? I get it. But let's not act like he was this guy all along. He wasn't. He wasn't.
Hold on, son.
There was times when Obi Toppin was out there and kind of scared. And it was because his confidence was low. Obi Toppin averaged 17 minutes a game this season.
And Sam, let's be very clear. Nobody was complaining about Obi minutes last year when Julius Randle was playing good. Nobody was saying, oh, Obi needs to play when Julius Randle was doing good. Were they saying that, this year? Yes. But when Julius Randle was out those 2 games, what did he do? And I don't love Obi, but look, I'm one of the people that I wasn't the biggest fan of Obi. But look, what did he do? He didn't do anything with those 2 games, really. But guess what? He learned. He had to go, and look what he did at the end. Now we have a good problem about, do we keep Randall or do we go on and move with Obi? You gotta let coach, man. Like everybody, look, it's crazy to him because the same people that wanted these guys to play were the same people that complained that Kevin Knox was a bust, because they got what they wanted with Kevin Knox. When David Fizdale gave him the ball all season, said, go do what you got, go do whatever. To no disrespect to David Fizdale, but it looked like there was no real structure to that. They gave Kevin Knox the ball and let him do what he wanted. And how did that turn out to Kevin Knox?
And let me give a shout out to Neville Humphreys. He said, Sim, I called you after the first game of the season, and I was extremely upset about this coach playing Jericho over Obi. I believe it was the start of many blunders by this coach. Listen, he made a lot of mistakes, but you know what? You just said he played Jericho over Obi, a rookie. Just going back to the argument that he wasn't playing guys. The first game of the season. He tried something way different. Right at the first game of the season, he put Jericho out there on the floor. Maybe he saw that he was a little bit, shaky. And so he scaled him back some. You know what I mean? I know Coach Tom Thibodeau made a lot of mistakes, Neville. I don't disagree with you. I think he made a lot of mistakes this year, without a doubt. I just don't think not playing the young guys is one of them. He may not have played your favorite guy. I just don't think not playing those guys is one of them. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, my name is Vic Reaper. Thank you guys for taking my call. Calling from Jersey City, New Jersey.
All right, appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, so good conversation you guys having about like, Tom playing the young kids. And look, he did play some of them. However, if you look at, I don't know, if you look at the stats for the young kids, you compare it to like a lot of the veterans. I mean, it did suggest that he should try playing the young kids a little more, because a lot of the veterans, I mean, they were just basically they were a drag when they were out there on the floor, basically for the whole team. Obviously, you look at like Julius Randle is one of them, is one good example. If you look at his efficiency was so low, he wasn't really playing defense, and he just didn't want to hold him accountable. Like he should have been playing Obi a little more. Honestly, I think there were a lot of people in Knicks Nation that were basically calling for Obi to play more, not just because they were just wanting to develop him, but if you look at it, like a lot of the advanced statistics on Obi versus Julius, I mean, like their PER, like Obi had a higher PER than Julius had this whole season. And so, like, a lot of the advanced statistics show that Obi was actually a more productive player per minute.
Can I ask you, what? I'm sorry,
Sure.
what's your name again?
My name is Big Reaper.
Say that again?
Big Reaper.
Oh, Big Reaper. Okay. The Slim Reaper. Okay. Big Reaper. All right.
Yeah.
The only thing I ask about all of those stats and all of those numbers, those advanced statistics and all of those things is, who were those guys playing against when they put up those numbers?
Well, I mean,
that means something.
I think it means something because you can glean a lot from it, especially with Obi Toppin, right? So Obi Toppin is a power forward, and you stick him in the corner, and he still manages to shoot like 52, 53% from the field, right, throughout the whole season. One thing that suggests is Obi Toppin makes good decisions, right? He doesn't force it. He doesn't play, outside of himself. And so, so I think it showed a lot of stuff. And I know Obi Toppin was playing against backups. And I think I was also eager to see Obi play against starters.
Yeah.
Because, if you're playing against backups, you look good, right? I get it. But then the two games, if you look at the two games, I think Isaiah was talking about when Julius was out, I think one game, the Toronto game, Obi played pretty well. Although the Knicks got blown out, he actually played pretty solid. He had a solid game.
He had 18 points in one of those games.
I'm sorry, say that again?
So I think he had 18 points in one of those games.
Yes. And then the other games, he had a stinker. I think maybe the first game, he didn't have a great game. He even didn't shoot that well either. And then that second game, I think he had 18 points. And so, I mean, there's just a lot of things about Obi that you kind of look at, and it's like, it makes a lot of sense, and it kind of suggests you should have been playing him. Like, one thing is, you look at the defensive stats in Obi as well. Like, his true shooting percentage was like around 58. I'm sorry, not true shooting. Effective field goal was like 58% or 59. That's really good. That's above league average. And then you look at his, like, what opponents shoot against him. Opponents are shooting like 42% or something like that against them. That's a huge difference.
Right. I mean, the thing. I mean, the thing is still. I'm just always going to go back to, because we haven't seen Obi play significant minutes against starters. Even down the stretch of this season, the Washington Wizards were depleted against Toronto. Obviously Pascal Siakam wasn't there. And then with some of these other teams, I forgot who else we played down the stretch of the season. But I just think you have to look at who he put up those numbers against. And then when we talk about the effective field goal percentage and the fact that, yes, he shot 50% from the field, but, how many of his shots came right at the rim? Just like with Mitchell Robinson, you shoot 70% from the field, but how many of those shots came because they were dunks? And I'm not saying all of this to discount Obi. I'm only saying, when we start to talk about, how he's playing against, when you start to compare the two, it's not like, especially with Obi. Emmanuel Quickley is maybe a little bit different, but especially with Obi, he never played throughout the season. He never played against the other team's starters. He always played against the opposing team's bench. So I think.
I don't know. So, yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry,
right.
Go ahead.
Because
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, because he always came behind Julius Randle, and then with Tom Thibodeau, if say they were playing the Nets and Kevin Durant was out there, it didn't matter how many minutes Obi played. When Kevin Durant came back in, Tom Thibodeau was bringing Julius Randle back in, or whoever, they were playing against. So, that meant that Obi was always playing against the bench. I'm not saying that he can't put those numbers up against starters. I'm just saying, well, as we're looking at like the PER and looking at all of these different advanced statistics, I think we do have to take into account who these statistics came against for Obi. And I don't think we can do a fair comparison until he's actually playing significant minutes against, let's say primary rotation players and starters of another team. That's when I think we make that better comparison.
I hear you, but I got to push back on that. I got to disagree with that because the only team that he played recently where most of the rotations or half the rotation was missing was the Wizards. I think that was I think it was pretty much just the Wizards
and the Raptors
No, the Raptors were missing only 2 players. The Raptors,
Pascal Siakam,
the guys that tried it out there. Yeah, Siakam was like
position.
one player,
but that's who. But
they
that's
had Barnes out there. They had Anunoby. Look,
right,
Siakam
but Pascal Siakam is who he would have been going up against.
Yeah, but he was going up against Scotty Barnes, who people are considering is going to be rookie.
No, he wasn't going up against Scotty Barnes. Somebody else. That was like Evan Fournier and the guys guarding Scotty Barnes.
The Toronto Raptors was only missing 2 players. It was.
Hold on, because you kind of hold on, brother, because you're pushing them, you're moving the goalposts. Because you can't just say
How am I moving the goalposts?
But you can't just say, oh, they're missing 2 players. They're missing Siakam and Fred VanVleet. How you gonna say it's just 2? Those are the 2 main. Those are 2 all-star type players.
The rest of the squad that was there was pretty good. The Toronto Raptors have a good team. You guys are discounting the guys that were there. You guys
we're not.
All of the starting lineup wasn't there, and the rotation wasn't there. The rotation was there except for 2 players, and he played really well against those against a good defensive team. And then the other team, the only team I would say that basically that wasn't there that you can take with take his performance with a grain of salt is the Wizards. I mean, he played very solid against Brooklyn. I mean, you guys didn't say anything when he was going up, when he dropped the 20 on very efficient numbers against Brooklyn. Nobody was
we all gave him his props. We all gave him his props.
Yeah. Gave him his props. I just think it's like, I just don't want to make it just about Obi as well. I do agree with some of the callers. I mean, look, this is the lineup. Tom Thibodeau, this is the lineup he was given, right? This is what he had. Yes, there's a lot of young young guys in his team. But you got to, if you look at the stats of his Tom Thibodeau starting lineup, these guys were just horrible. They sucked. I mean, there's no way around it. Even if you say Tom Thibodeau did a great job coaching and it was the player's fault, you're playing guys that are shooting 40% from the field. So you're telling me like you're not going to basically try to play some of the other young guys, especially even after the All-Star break, to see what you had. I mean, like, you weren't curious about Deuce, It's like, to me, I felt like a lot of his.
But here's bro, here's the thing though, right? Is that, again, and I was a proponent of this, but we have to look at this as a whole and the season's over, is that we're saying that let's take a look at Deuce. Look, this is the difference between the G League and the NBA. Deuce was averaging almost 30, damn near 30 and 10 in the G League. He was killing it. He got to the NBA and he scored 7 points. How many times did McBride get double-digit points?
Not very many. But look, what happened? What I think happened.
But I'm just saying. But I'm just saying. But they were also.
Wait a minute. Let me respond. Let me respond to you. Early in the season, McBride was playing pretty okay. He didn't have any issue shooting the ball. What happened was during that Toronto game, when the coach yanked him out after 3 minutes, I think it hurt his confidence. And that is the issue. That's the issue that a lot of people have with this coach. He snatches the confidence away from these kids. Obi Toppin. I've been to a couple of Knicks games this year. I've never seen Thibodeau ever talk to Obi Toppin, try to coach him up ever. He just yells at him, and Obi basically goes to basically towards the end of the bench. A couple of days ago, I saw Tom Thibodeau for the first time. Maybe he's done it and I missed it, but for the first time, I've watched a lot of games, and it was for the first time I saw him actually coaching up Obi, and that's not good. The problem with Tom Thibodeau is the way he deals with the players. If he feels like he's not getting what he needs from you, he just snatches your confidence away. And you got to be able to inspire confidence. You guys said it. He's got 9 young players. You got to inspire confidence. You're not there to take their confidence. And so that's what he did to that kid McBride. You know, if you think about it, before that Toronto game, McBride was having some pretty decent games. I think he was double-digit against the Warriors, played pretty solid, although, you know, the Rockets were terrible. But, you know, he was playing some pretty decent games. He just took his confidence. And so all I'm just saying is you look at RJ. I'm not saying bench RJ, but you look at Fournier, right? You look at Burks. These guys are, you know, Fournier shooting 41% from the field and is giving up like 46% to the opponent. Burks is shooting like 38% from the field, giving up 45% to the opponent. You know, this is the stuff that you're getting from your starting lineup. So you're telling me you're not curious. You're not saying, okay, you know what? Let me see what these young guys got. At least these young guys are going to get me.
I get it. Wait, I'm just saying. Hold on, because we got some other callers. Big Reaper. I got to remember that name. All right.
I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time. You know, I make my music on a program called Reaper. But Big Reaper, I appreciate your time. Very good points. I love the discussion. I want to get some other people in. All right. Hopefully you call back soon. All right.
All right. Thanks. Good night, guys.
Appreciate your time, man. After the All-Star break, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to read out some minutes numbers. A lot of people point to after the All-Star break. Obi Toppin, after the All-Star break, 23.1 minutes per game. Mitchell Robinson, 26.3 minutes per game. Cam Reddish, although he got hurt, 18.5 minutes per game. Quentin Grimes, 12.8 minutes per game. Jericho Sims, 19.1 minutes per game. Miles McBride, 11.6 minutes per game. All after the All-Star break. You know, I don't know what to tell you, man.
But Sim, okay, hold on. This is one thing I wanted to say, and this bothered me what he said, was that he said all Tom Thibodeau does is yell at Obi. Bro, like, stuff like that gets me angry because it's like, bro, you're seeing what you see on TV and maybe the 1 or 2 games that you went to during the season. You're telling me that a coach is almost universally beloved by all his players that talk about him. I've never really heard a player that was coaching the Tom Thibodeau say anything bad about him. You're telling me that all he does is yell at him? No, bro, it's not.
Yeah, so somebody asks how many games did those guys actually play those averages, right? So let me break it down and I'll focus on Obi Toppin because I'm not going to go through every single player and read off every single player. Obi Toppin, after the All-Star break, all right, he played 13 minutes versus Miami. He played 16 minutes versus Philadelphia, 15 minutes versus Philadelphia, and then he was out for 5 games. Okay, well, he was out for 3 games, and then he came back, and I guess was, you know, I don't know if it was COVID or what. I'm not sure. Right? But then he played 7. It may have been COVID. Then he played 7 minutes. Then he played 14 minutes. Then he played 9 minutes, and then 13 minutes, 23 minutes, 39, 26, 16, 20, and this is before anybody sat out. Okay, 26, 16, 20, 12, 30, 35, 43, 38, and 40. Those were the last 5 games, right? Randall sat out those last 5 games. You know, obviously he played high minutes, but you had before then 20 minutes, 26 minutes, 39 minutes, 23 minutes, right? He was on the floor playing. This was after the All-Star break. I mean, you know, and even, you know, he had a game where he had 18 and 11. Then he had another game with 23 minutes. He had 10. Right? Obviously, he's a young guy. He's going to be up and down. Nobody's expecting him to put up monster numbers every time he steps on the floor. You know what I mean? It's just something that I disagree with everybody else. I just disagree. I feel like the guys were playing. I have no problem with the way that the guys were brought along. I do not believe that if you would have played all of these guys earlier in the season that the Knicks would have magically made the playoffs. I don't think that was going to happen. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Guys get brought along the way that they get brought along. The fact is now you've seen them out there on the floor. Let's see if they can contribute to a winning season next year. You know what I mean? People are going to point to, well, look at the last 5 games, look at the Knicks record. Well, you can also look at the last 5 games and figure it out, who was really playing for something too. And what those games were about. And that's no knock on Obi or anybody that was playing during that time. I'm just trying to look at this through a realistic lens, not use recency bias and all that stuff to say that this guy is going to be a superstar now and, Obi is our Kobe and all of that. I'm not doing all of that. I'm just, trying to look at it objectively and appreciate the development the way that it is and hope that they continue to develop and get better going into next season and just understanding that it's the way basketball goes sometimes. See, the Knicks didn't click this year. They didn't click. They wasn't making the playoffs to play those young guys. The Knicks didn't click. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Neville Humphreys.
What's up, Neville?
And I think I just sent you a super chat.
I appreciate that too, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I am really happy that I called right after Big Riffle because my point is very similar to what he just said. Earlier in the season, I called you, Singh, and I told you that Tom Thibodeau should have played Obi next to Randolph because Obi was vital to where we wanted to go, where the Knicks should be heading. I thought Obi was a more vital player, So that's a number one. The second reason I want them to play together is to relieve the pressure the fans would put on Randolph. If Tom had put Obi next to Randolph, play them together, believe me, I'm pretty sure many of the fans would not be coming so hard onto Randolph. But he never did. And the reason I didn't want him to play is not that I don't think Jericho Sims is going to be a player in this league. I just thought, here is a 58 pick. You pick the guy 58. He doesn't have NBA experience. Obi does. Obi deserves to play. He been on this team at least a year. He went through last year. He been there. He has experience. Plus, I thought just to try it out, he should have played them together. That did not happen.
Yeah.
The coach did not. For whatever reason, whatever.
I would have liked to see them play more together too. I guess he wasn't confident at the rim protection, but I wanted to see them two guys play more together at the 4 and 5.
But even though you're not confident about rim protection, I've heard that many times. But because the game is 48 minutes, there are plenty of times where you can put them together. Because it's not every minute of the game you need rim protection. Because there are times where the other teams have made substitution. Then you can say, well, this is a favorable matchup because of the substitution. The other team, like for instance, you play in Denver. Denver takes out Jokic. You can, what? Hey, Denver taking out Jokic, bringing up a backup, a forward/center. Let me put Obi Toppin and Randolph in here because Randolph is going to play the entire first quarter, the entire third quarter. So you can actually, still minutes where you can say play them together. But the reason, one of the primary reasons he shouldn't have played Jericho is because he could not make that commitment on a long-term basis to Jericho. Because if you're going to play a rookie in the very first game of the season, you're going to have to make that commitment on a long-term basis. You're going to have to keep giving this rookie 5 minutes, 10 minutes, some minutes. Because
you have to.
Number one, you're taking a very young player and you put it in a very important game. So therefore, if you're not going to make that commitment, don't put him in the game. Especially because you have a second round, you have a player that went in the league for his second year. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen.
So wait, based on what you're saying, you're saying.
Let me just ask one question though. Was Nerlens Noel playing that first game? Was he out?
No, he wasn't. He was out. That's why Jericho Sims played.
Right.
Nerlens,
right.
And I think Taj was out as well.
I mean, I'm assuming that the reason why he used him though is because they play two different positions, right? Obi's at power forward, Jericho Sims is at the center spot, so he was trying to replace Mitch through Jericho Sims out there, and then Obi was going to get his regular time, right?
I agree, Sim. I do agree with that. If you're only looking at it as you want to match player for player, center for center. But if you're thinking of the big vision, the big scheme of it, you want to say, I have a second-year player that deserves some minutes. And I would like to see what that lineup looks like.
Okay, I get it.
So I am going to take a chance, even maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes of putting them together.
Caller. You hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, I can hear you.
I know some. I know. I keep doing that. I keep doing that. Yeah. So you're saying deserve. You're saying deserve. What about earn?
He did earn it. He'd been on the team a whole year. Those players earn it. They've been on the team for over a year. They went to summer league. There's no way you cannot tell me a player that's been on the team for a whole year, a rookie, a 58 pick is more deserving than Obi. There's no way you could say that.
But it's about the position that they
That's not
playing.
logical.
But I think it's about the position they were playing. But Neville.
No, it's not about the position.
It is.
It's not about the position. It's looking at the bigger picture. You want to get these players together because you believe, if Coach Tom Thibodeau actually believes that Obi Toppin is worth more to winning, then that should have taken priority.
I understand what you're saying.
Jericho seems worth more to winning, then that should have. Then I agree with his decision.
I understand what you're saying, but I think in that situation it was basically, hey, we got to get another center out there that could possibly block some shots. He wasn't comfortable with going small, so that's what it did. But Neville, I appreciate your time. I got to rock. All right. It's almost 7 o'clock. I do want to watch and see if the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to upset the Brooklyn Nets. You know what I'm saying? Now B-Baller for real said every time they have an excuse. So we have an excuse for not playing Obi, for not substituting Obi for Nerlens Noel, or for taking Mitchell Robinson out and putting Obi in against the Boston Celtics in the first game of the season. No, I don't think that's an excuse. He wanted to match center for center, size for size. He wanted to have somebody out there with length.
Sam, I'm
or a little bit more length than Obi Toppin. And yes, I know Obi can jump, but he wanted more size, more someone who can bang a little bit. So he wanted to try out Jericho Sims. I don't think that was.
Sim, I'm very confused about when did Obi become a plus defender? I'm very confused. Because I hate when we got to do this because we're bashing. We have to talk bad about Obi, but when did that happen?
Listen, I'm not even
confused.
Listen, I mean, bottom line is, in that situation there in that first game of the season, Nerlens Noel was out, so he said, "I'm gonna go with Jericho Sims," because he wasn't comfortable going small. That's really where I kind of finish it off there. I'm gonna take this last phone call and then I'm ending the show. It's a good thing that we didn't do the players with this same show. I mean, this show is 2.5 hours long. If we did the players, we'd have been at them for 5 hours.
Sam, you might as well start that one early.
You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow's show with the players is going to be lightning. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
How's it going, Sam? It's Nick in Jersey City.
Nick, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Doing good. Great show today. Good analysis of the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you. This is part 1. Tomorrow we're gonna break down the players. You already know what that's gonna be about.
Yeah, that'll be good. I owe you some information on all this stuff. I've been taking a look at the season. Now that it's over, just I'm not rewatching the tape like Thibodeau wants us to do. I don't have the time to watch the whole season all over again 5 times, but I am looking at some of the games, and it's you brought something up about the minutes. I wanted to just bring one thing up real quick, and then I'll let you go.
All right.
I wanted to dispel this notion that if I love Obi, I love IQ, but like they were getting the same minutes in December that they got in March, the exact same minutes. IQ got 26.3 minutes per game in 11 games in December, and he was shooting 30% from 3. Obi Toppin got 18.1 minutes in December in, I think, 12 games. He was shooting like 27% from 3. And they were also shooting low from regular field goal. And then they got the same amount of minutes in March, 26.3 minutes per game and 18.2 for Obi. And their field goal percentage went up by 10%. So the only reason I'm bringing this up, the 3-point percentage went up by 10%, and their 2-point field goals went up by 10%, which is a huge jump. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because people think that players have to only develop when they're playing the game. These guys developed by getting their minutes curtailed. They developed by being held to a high standard over the course of January and February. They went, damn, we're not playing well. Our minutes dropped by about 5-6 minutes per game. Let's hit the gym. Let's shoot up another 1,000 shots this weekend or whatever it was. And that's what they developed because they're motivated young players and they're being held to a high standard. If they were just thrown out there, they weren't helping us win. We had a losing record in December as well. And then they come in March and all of a sudden they're shooting 10% better and they're helping us win. That's how player development happens.
Yep. I agree with you 100%, Nick. And I got some of those numbers and, I'm going to be using them to I want to do just a little bit. I'm going to do a little video based on, these young guys' numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile. I mean, they're all improving. They all have things that they still need to improve. And another real quick point, and then I'll hang up. IQ, people talk about, we got to keep IQ out there in the clutch. Take a look at the clutch statistics on NBA.com. IQ's shooting percentage, both from 3 and from 2, goes down 20%, 20 points in the quote-unquote clutch. And the NBA defines clutch as a game that's within 5 points with 5 minutes or less to go. So IQ shooting like 35% from 3, and in the clutch, he's shooting 15% from 3. And the same thing with the 2-point field goal. So it's like there's a reason why. And by the way, he finished a lot of games too. Mm-hmm. He finished a lot of games anyway. You know what I mean? So there's a reason why these things were happening during the season. And I think if you look at it a little bit deeper, you realize why things were going on the way they were going on. I'm still of mine that Evan Fournier, like there are people out there that think like that Grimes is better than Fournier. That's not the case. You know what I mean? He might be a better defender. Quentin Grimes averaged 6 points a game this season. You know what I mean? I love Grimes. I want him to be the starting 2 guard, but Fournier is better than the kids. Burks is probably better than most of the kids right now. It's just the way it is. It's unfortunate that we don't want that to be the case, but at least they're developing.
They're developing, man. Hey, Nick, I appreciate the time. I'm going to head up out of here. All right? And I'll talk to you soon, man. Appreciate you. All right, guys. I'm about to rock and go watch this basketball game, see if the Nets are going to make it to, the playoffs tonight. Or I guess they won't get eliminated. If they lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, then they'll play one more game and have a chance to get in. You know what I mean? But I do want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, before we get up out of here, get your name on the list for the NBK Draft Party, folks. The link is in the description of the video. It's also right here in the YouTube chat, and it's pinned to the top of your YouTube chat. So please make sure you click on your link, get your name on there. So look, I'm going to get it out to my members first, and they'll get a little bit of a discount. And then those who are on the list, it's coming to you, ladies and gentlemen. And then we'll get it to everybody else. So make sure you get your name on the list so you can get that information as soon as it drops, which we're planning on doing by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. But let's finish this off. Isaiah, last words, man.
What a good show, bro. And it's funny. Me and you talked about it. You didn't want to be here long, but look what happened. Sim, great show. Gavin, great show. Callers. We got some different opinions, but we love everybody. I know, oh my God! Tomorrow's show, Sim. You might as well start that in the morning.
That's gonna be.
You might as well start. You might as well start it, Sim. Sim. You might. Sim, I'm telling you right now, Sim. You might as well start that early in the morning, and we'll be done by 6 o'clock.
You know what I mean? That's gonna be. It's gonna be something.
Yeah, I already know it's gonna be crazy tomorrow, but I can't wait for it tomorrow. Though I can't wait.
Yeah, Gavin.
Yeah, no, just always thank you for having me on here, and just to a lot of the people in the chat, listen, this is all of our opinions. You know, I heard somebody in the chat was like, just because you're on the panel doesn't mean that you know more than, you know, us. That's not the case. You know, we're all Knicks fans. We're all in support of this team. We just have differences of opinion, and that's okay that we can agree to disagree. But we don't put anybody down or bash anybody for their opinions. Like I said, that's why people tune in. You get to hear difference of opinions, and it's, you know, just about being open to what other people have to say. But
hey, look, man, we just got the links. We got the link to the chat. That's it.
Yeah, man. Listen. And nobody's saying we smarter than you. You know what I mean? Nobody's saying that. We just debating. We just arguing. We just debating. That's all.
Yeah, what's wrong with B-Baller? He said, "Yo, nah, we think we God given." Oh my God.
He's just joking, man. You know.
I know. B-Baller funny, man. It's
He's
all
just
good.
joking. But ladies and gentlemen, we're up out of here. I appreciate you. Tomorrow I plan on being on at 3:30, as long as YouTube ain't giving me the problems it was giving me today. Looks like it's fixed. But 3:30, ladies and gentlemen. But look out for the notification. All right, look out for the notification. I appreciate your time. I'm out. Make sure you get your name on that list for the NBK Draft Party, folks. Peace.
We could debate in live person then.
Yeah. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.